again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Jim Cornette Experience. What a week it's been in wrestling. People arguing, people quitting their jobs. Too bad none of it was on the air. But we are, and joining me for all this and more, Hawaiian Brian, the podcasting lion, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, Mr. Co-host to you. He's Danhausen's favorite podcaster, the great Brian Lasthausen.
Aloha, Jim. A pleasure to be here once again. It sounds like someone has changed their Toonhausen on Danhausen. We'll find out what you have to say here today. But
no, I think everybody's out of tune about Danhausen. Damn that Danhausen. That ought to be on Comedy Central. Damn that Danhausen. He just comes around and creates chaos. And damn that Danhausen.
You know, on the topic of horror show hosts, even though he isn't one, he should be. But I just saw pictures of Gwen Gooley outside of her Gwen Gooley makeup. My God, what a good-looking woman.
Well, like you're saying that she's uglying herself up when she's Gwen Gooley? I thought she was a very comely lass.
Well, indeed she is. Just one.
You know, that's a phrase you don't hear enough anymore.
No, you never hear it anywhere.
She's as my grandmother Coco would have said, she's a very comely lass. My grandmother was born in 1886, I believe, either 85 or 86. And so when I was a little kid, I got a florid vocabulary from a previous era. Anyhow, speaking of a previous era, you know, the week started off, Brad. We've had 5 days this week from Monday through Friday. That's the normal number. Monday morning, we had freezing rain and snow flurries. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it's poured rain like pouring piss out of a boot. And today, Friday, it is going to be at least 81 degrees, the all-time record high, with another heavy round of rainstorms to come tomorrow. And again next week. But to poor people up in Seymour, Indiana, went from 3 inches of snow on Monday morning to a record high temperature on Friday afternoon. I turned the air conditioning on, though. It is a landmark day in the year when this is the first day of air conditioning. How are you doing up there? Have you melted yet?
There's still some snow on the ground, but it rained. Yeah, I guess that is what you say. It rained all day yesterday.
What did you normally say about
it sounded weird. Sometimes you say a normal word, and it sounds weird. A
past tense rain event is rained.
Well, in the moment, it was raining in the present time, but now we are here after that, so we're traveling through time and space as normal here, but most of it's gone. We're rambling. There's fog. Well, there's lots of fog.
Lots of fog, and the brain fog is moving in off the coast. All right, I want to make a confirmation on something that we said that I said I believe that to be true. Well, on one of the shows that we just did, like we do every goddamn day, the fellow that I knew that went to the Smackdown event in Louisville last week, the Friday night of the last Friday of February, second row ringside, $700 each. And another comment was a lot of downtime. And another comment was when everybody was standing up, even on a second row, because I said he took his son, right? On a second row, if people are standing up, the kid can't see. He's trying, because they stand now. I remember. Do you remember, are you old enough, Brian, when you went to big league wrestling events in major buildings, when the people were all standing, they got on the PA and said, sit the fuck down. You're getting people's way. Sit down. Please return to your seats.
Never that, but at the Nassau Coliseum, they always had these off-duty cops that would come over and get you back to your seats right away.
Well, no, this was, I was 20
No megaphone.
Years,
no megaphone.
Not with a megaphone. I'm talking about the PA system. In the 70s, the PA announcer had to please return to your seats, and people are crowding the ring, going to fucking set fire to it or whatever. But anyway, so they were too close to see the screens over their heads, right? Which is like being in the front row of a drive-in fucking theater. And at the same time, they couldn't look to the left and really get a real clear view of the big entrance screen because all the people keep standing up on the entrances. and then basically there's a lot of time in between. So there's a 700 for fucking, wait a minute, I'm trying to do the math here. 550 for $250. You could sit on the front row of every one of 52 yearly events at the Louisville Gardens when I was a kid and see you could get blood on you. You were so close, and see the greatest fucking wildest ass wrestling you've ever seen all year. Now it's 3 times what it used to be in a year just to go to the show and sit on the second row and watch people talk to each other.
You could just take that money and get the best TV you could find, and it'll be a better experience for you. You get your own food and go to the bathroom and stuff. But the big question is, if someone pays that amount of money for a seat in the second row, how likely are they to come back? Even if it was a great night, just because of the price. If WWE returns to that town 1 year later, does that person say, I have to go again? Or does that person say, you know, I spent like $1,000 last time between parking and food and beer and seats. I can't do that again.
You know, this was almost more in the category of like a bucket list thing that he wanted to do with his son because of his fond memories of days gone by, and he didn't exactly let his wife know how much money he spent, type of thing.
But beyond
this is not something that he would ever do regularly.
But I'm saying beyond him,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If in this test case, you know, see, we're doing one of these double blind studies. Did I mention he's blind? Also, so he really couldn't see very well anyway. But it was in this double blind study where we sent both of these blind people to the show. That's an example. That's a reason why they spent that much money. There's not a lot of people that can spend that much money just every goddamn old time. And again, if he did it now, but even if he liked it, it was the first time in ever that he'd done it. And next year, it'd only be the first time in a year for maybe the same amount of money. See, that's where I'm going with that.
And it's another thing, maybe the same amount of money. It's not going to be the same amount of money. It's going to go up. There's been no signs that ticket prices are going to stay the same or come
see
down.
how it can. Then they're going to start doing shows for the 500 richest fans they've got in a 20,000 seat building. My God, you'd have to turn to crime if it gets any more expensive. Some people may have already contemplated turning. I think potentially the company selling the tickets has turned to crime because this is fucking highway robbery.
It's going to be interesting again, you know, and we'll probably talk about it maybe on a future show, just the comparisons of when they return to a market. I know WrestleNomics has done a bunch of reports about it. You know, WWE, there are some places they're up, but they're down in a lot of places, it seems like. And again, I'm not saying, oh my God, poor WWE, they're going to go out of business. They're making so much money. And that's what people say. Why don't you shut up? They're making so much money. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it sucks right now, but I get that they're making all this money, but they're burning out their fan base in every way, in every conceivable way.
This is not, we're just trying to find something to pick on. This is a major story of how they are getting these obscene grosses for the product that they are currently offering and or the excitement level of same. And it's part of a giant multi-billion-dollar machine, and they've taken over the global combat sports industry. We're not just trying to find something to pick on them about, though.
It just, you know, it almost sounds like when you describe, you know, the waiting around, and you get some cool moments, you get to see big stars. Even though it's raw and it's a live broadcast, it's almost like you're describing the old 4-hour, 5-hour monthly tapings for Challenge and Superstars.
Yeah, they consider it even at those prices live, they still consider it a television event, and it's all geared toward television. And I mentioned it the other week, but having even somebody the level of CM Punk, and I'm not glazing, as the kids say, glazing Punk, but it could be the level of him presented in the company, or a Drew, or a Cody, or someone of that level. making their entrance. We'll be right back, folks. And then they go to a break, and then they come back and they got a backstage thing, and then they got a travelogue, and they got a drone shot. And then they come to the ring, and the fucking one of the biggest stars of the company has been standing there with his dick in his hand, whistling Dixie for 5 minutes, and then they get to start. I told Stacey the other day, I said, I would have either have gotten so goddamn mad, I fucking walked to the back and said, fuck y'all, I'm gone, or I would have started a riot on the microphone. One or the other, because that's got to be excruciating as a performer to go out there and then just have to stand there. Are they done yet?
And I hate that. And I'm not justifying it, but it was one thing doing that when you were on broadcast TV and you were trying to time the commercials to make sure you didn't lose audience. It's a different way of losing audience on Netflix. They don't need to have the commercials or the breaks where they do. You can now have a guy's music hit and he can go to the ring and you can start the thing. You don't have to put the commercial there because it's not like you're just changing a channel when you're on Netflix.
Well, and even if it was under control where they could get a 2-minute break in while one of their biggest stars is, circling around the fucking ring, shaking hands or whatever. But it's all geared to television and a live audience. I guess they think it's their pleasure to sit there and watch the TV show that they gotta watch at home for free just because they're there in person. Which then, because they're there in person, they're doing a service for the WWE because they've got a big, large, enthusiastic audience to make everything look good. So thank you for coming and paying to do us a favor and making our show look fucking great. We've all done television tapings at house shows. They did it at in the Crockett days. I'm not just talking about taking one camera like in Memphis or some of the other and shooting what's going on at the house show. I'm talking about the full-fledged TV tapings. And the people still didn't have to sit there. We were live to tape, and you've seen the Flair Wyndham matches or the Flair Garvin matches or the Midnight Express Fantastics matches where we might go 30 minutes or whatever. And they would have commercial breaks, but the match was still continuing. You weren't here. Ric Flair wasn't coming to the ring for an interview and then taking a 2-minute break. And while Ric Flair stood there and did the helicopter and then come back and he starts talking, you were able to capture both what you needed on television and not make it suck for the crowd that was in Baltimore or wherever the fuck it was in a big building we're doing a TV tape. I do not mean to go on about this, but goddamn, I'd be pissed. I'm like, well, Jesus Christ.
Paid all this money and I have to sit here and watch them stand around.
I got a penneth in my ass, as Dusty Rhodes once said to a poor unsuspecting fellow. Anyway, let me a couple things here real quick. I got paperwork. Wanted to recognize some people since I'm backed up on emails and acknowledging a few folks, not Roman Reigns, but we got an email, Brian, both of us, from Matthew, who is one of the listeners. His wife, Melissa, lost her father back in late January, and she's become a fan, obviously through osmosis through him, but then listening to us make fun of AEW, he said, and listening to me make fun of President Pig shit. So she's got good taste. So Melissa, we're sorry to hear about that. And also from Donald, who lost his cat Morris. And Donald, even if that is an unoriginal name for a cat, we feel your pain. Brian from Scranton.
What the hell was that?
He and his family. What?
Even though that wasn't unoriginal, why'd you have to put down the cat?
I didn't put down the cat. I put down Donald.
Donald was his name. The cat's name was Morris.
I put down Donald for naming the cat Morris.
What
What do you think the cat came up with his own fucking name?
Why do you have a problem with the name Morris?
Call me Morris.
Is Morris a common name? Are there a lot of cats named Morris? You made it sound like it's something he's just copying from other people.
Yes, you know Morris the cat. Wait a minute, let's back up here before I go on.
Who the hell's naming their cat Morris in 2026, Jim?
Apparently, goddamn Donald.
Donald, we're sorry for your loss, Donald.
Would have been a trend would have come to an end. Morris the cat. You know about Morris. Are you familiar with
I'm not too familiar with Morris the cat, no.
Oh, cry, no. Brian, I'm begging you. I'm pleading with you, baby. I'm down on my knees.
Just from the commercials? Oh, get the hell out of here.
Morris the cat.
Yeah, I forgot all about these commercials like the rest of society.
Well,
apparently Morris the cat's still active.
Wait, how old is he?
I don't know if it's the same one, but it's been appearing in packaging and on commercials since the 70s. Makes it sound like it's still active today.
Well, I guess they have to take care of that fucking cat. He's worth a lot of money. See if he could afford the best vets, and, anything can happen.
In 2006, Morris was depicted as adopting a kitten, Lil Mo, from a Los Angeles animal shelter, representing the first adoptee in a campaign known as Morris's Million Cat Rescue.
Well, that was sweet, but Lil Mo, because what was Lil Al Vavasour fucking already adopted?
This is from Wikipedia. He was quoted. He was quoted
I got you with that one, didn't I?
He was quoted at the 1993 end of the year edition of People magazine, which noted deaths of 1993, to which he was quoted a simple meow in honor of the death of his friend, fellow advertising mascot, the dog Spuds McKenzie.
Oh.
I remember Spuds McKenzie.
Well, of course you do.
He was cool. He was cooler than Morris the cat.
Well, but Morris was a more
not Donald's Morris the cat, the real Morris the cat. Well, advertising.
The original Morris the cat. They were both real. They both existed, but
the celebrity Morris the cat.
Morris was loved by small children and their grandparents, whereas Spuds McKenzie, you had to be a goddamn
you have to turn on the
pre-adolescent reprobate.
You just had to turn on the TV and see a commercial in the middle of the Mets game. That's all you needed.
For a bunch of fucking slovenly drunken dogs carousing around. Give all the canines a bad name with their irresponsibility and bad behavior. And I'll have you know that canine DUIs were up 40% during the Spuds McKenzie era.
I think the point is our condolences to Donald.
All right. Yes, Donald. Brian from Scranton. Now, this is a somber occasion here. He and his family lost their dog Snickers, who was 10 years old, 20 pounds of twisted steel and puppy appeal. And it would mean a lot to them if we could give him a small mention. And do you have any pictures of him doing bodybuilder poses in tights? Maybe we could put out a memorial at the Humane Society.
You okay with Snickers? You have any problem with naming your cat Snickers?
No, it's a dog.
Naming your dog Snickers? You have any problem with naming your dog Snickers?
No, because there's no famous dog named Snickers. If it was Lassie, I'd have said the same goddamn thing I said to Donald. Oh, goddamn.
So you think once a dog's name is famous, it's retired? Like you can never name another dog or cat that name?
Well, it just seems who names their kids Elvis? Huh?
In Mexico, they may.
Well, now we don't have any control over what they do in international fucking waters.
There's Elvis Costello, that's not his real name, but there's Elvez. Remember Elvez?
No, I don't. So I'm as in the dark about him as you were about fucking Morris the cat.
Eilard Pillum, the Swedish Elvis Presley, but
Eilard Pillum.
But I guess the question that you're trying to avoid the answer to is once a celebrity animal is out there, is that name retired from ever being used for another?
I thought I answered another canine or feline, and I believe I answered it that in the over egregious case of a Morris the cat or an Elvis the person, or of a Lassie May qualify as well, a Goofy the dog. That would be kind of, but again, there's a few of these things you ought to just retire.
Was Goofy high? I mean, the idea that Pluto was a traditional dog and Goofy is Goofy in an era when Goofy meant, hey, this guy went behind the building and had some of those Goofy cigarettes.
No, they were making fun of the mentally challenged, as you would say now, but before he was stupid, is what he was.
Can you name a dog Pluto?
Wait a minute.
Did I lose you?
I think, yeah. Huh?
Did I lose you? Did you go in or out? What just happened?
I'm talking to you. I said, and I was thinking, and then you scared me.
Oh, okay. No, there was such a long break there. I thought the internet went out. Okay,
because I'm trying to think if he's in the public domain yet. Was he in Steamboat Willie?
No.
Pluto didn't come along till later.
That's right.
As soon as he enters the public domain, then it's okay.
Like there are plenty of people who get rabbits and name them Bugs, right?
Well, rabbits don't count.
The hell's that mean?
Well, you can have all the famous rabbits you want.
All right. Well, Brian, we're sorry for your loss, you and your family.
And anyway, and one more thing. Hold on. Wait a minute now. What have I done? I put the other things right. Here we go. We have an update from one of the topics that we previously spoke about here on the program, the incident in Muhlenberg County with the man and the deer on the side of the road. Brian, is I don't want to just come out and especially in the first 45 seconds of this clip and just say what was happening, but the man was arrested for fornication with a deceased deer carcass on the side of the road. The evidence against him was pretty strong because the cop caught him with blood and fur all over him. And I'm not even getting to the update yet. Here.
I know you're convinced that the blood and the fur was from the dead animal he was having fornication with, or whatever you want to call it. But I like
engaging in the act of fornication would be the way you'd term it.
Well, I guess so. But I like to imagine him kind of crawling up like Mantar, like with the big thing on already, like he wants to fit in.
No, I'm telling you, no. Obviously, this guy didn't think things through far enough to maybe come up with that plan. But anyway, we got a message or an email rather, from John, and Jim and Brian, about the man fucking the dead deer in Muhlenberg County. He was from Owensboro, which is over in Daviess County. And I heard this from several people, Brian, that they were offended. While the incident happened in Muhlenberg County, in actuality, the guy that perpetrated the deed was from over in the next county, in Daviess County. And John continues, the people over here in Muhlenberg County were surprised and grossed out that it happened just as much as the rest of the world. Never in a million years would I expect the county to be world news for something like this, which is unfortunate because Muhlenberg County isn't known for much other than the Everly brothers being from Central City. James Best, who played Roscoe P. Coltrane, was from Powderly, Kentucky, and Muhlenberg County itself is mentioned in the John Prine song, which I sang a few lines from, as a matter of fact. And thumb-picking legend Merle Travis is also from Muhlenberg County. So musically, the area is rich in history, but for the rest of the world, sadly, it will only be remembered for that guy's actions. Oh, dear. That was from John.
Well played there at the end. Well played. You like the Everly brothers? You like the Everly brothers? You like the Everly brothers? Do you like the Everly brothers?
What? What did you say to me?
I said, do you like the Everly brothers?
I never met either one of them. So I can't tell you whether I liked them or not, but they had a few good tunes. That's I know right. That much. And but I still think it was a goddamn flimsy excuse at best, Susie. We know what you're up to, and you ain't going out again at night with that son of a bitch. Fucking whore.
All right, this took a turn.
Well, you know, they try to get away with these things, the kids, the young, the teeny twatters and boppers and things.
Song came out in 58, Jim.
I'm sorry. I had to take a drink there. Sip there. Swallow the bile that I had for Susan. I mentioned I'm selling my clothing, bro.
Take it off.
It's come to this, folks. I'm selling my clothing.
This is going so well today. How much for this shirt?
See, things haven't been going real well, and I've overextended myself in the Dalmatian breeding market. And now I'm selling my clothing. No, as I mentioned last on your program, I think, or one of these programs, Brian, I've got to the stage where I've been able to clean out my wardrobe. And with ring-worn things, the Hulk Hogan boot selling for $1 million. All right, fuck, you know, maybe I can get a $1.95 for my stuff. But also, I've had this stuff out for a while. I'm moving things around and storing things in the castle, and now is the time. And I have tasked Mr. Featherbottom with coming up with a nice listing for everything and putting it up on the website. Starting, I believe, March 21st, which is a Saturday, you can say what I've done with the wardrobe. Basically, all the dress clothes I've ever had in my life, I wore on television or to the ring. And you can attest to this about me. Have you ever seen me in anything with a collar or belt loops if I wasn't on fucking camera or at a show?
No, more than likely not.
So at any rate, I have taken the last 5 or 6 jackets that I bought and 5 or 6 pair of pants, about 8 or 10 shirts that I bought like 7 or 8 years ago when I first lost weight and needed some shit that fit, which is the last clothing I've bought or ever will buy. And I've set that aside just in case I ever need it. You never know, and I might have to go to court sometime. And I've cleaned out the closet, and whether it be the last of my whacking rackets because I've retired from hitting people over the head, so I have several rackets that have in various stages of curvature due to being used to whack big wrestlers, and 2 or 3 pair of eyeglasses that I've used. Obviously, if you've seen me on television or at a show with my glasses on, these are some of them, because I didn't have like personal glasses and show glasses. They were the glasses. Ring-worn shirts, pants, suits, jackets, a couple of combos. I'm still checking on this, but I have, Brian, not only my TNA trading card, but I have the tie that I was wearing in the picture of the TNA trading card. You could make a nice little set of that. I don't know whether I'll frame it or not. I was framed when I went to TNA. But there's all kinds of, and my tuxedo shoes from when I inducted the Rock and Roll Express in the Hall of Fame, and all kinds of cool stuff that we're going to be putting up. The listings are going to go up on March 21st at jimcornette.com so that you guys can see everything, because obviously, due to the nature of it, everything listed is one of a kind. So we don't want everybody just, all 6 people that are going to be fighting each other when they go on sale. We don't want to panic here. So you get a couple weeks to look at everything and spy if you like something.
Couple weeks.
And then everything. Well, a couple weeks.
Man, that way those rackets are going to go in 2 minutes. Everyone's going to jump all over those. Then the glasses will go right away, right after that.
No, that's what listen to me. Hear me what I'm telling you. Because they're going to have a couple weeks to look at everything, so they decide what they want to go for. And then on Saturday, April 4th at noon, everything goes on sale, and they already can think of a personalization, or they've seen the policy on the personalization. Because I can't write a goddamn manuscript on the back of a cloth shirt. So some of these are going to be limited, but they get nice little handwritten letters with each item indicating that they are personal and legitimate and things like that. So I want everybody to have a chance to look at it, see what they want to go for instead of just being mad panic and everybody getting all fucked up.
And just wait until you see how nicely the Feather Bottoms will be packaging all these items.
They are working now on folding classes. They've gone over because nobody goes to the mall anymore. So they've just gone over to one of those department stores and said, just show me how to fold shit.
Those tuxedo shoes, because I don't remember if it would have been rehearsal or afterwards. Were you wearing those shoes the last time you ever saw Kevin Dunn?
I guess it was. Yes. And I wish I could say that there was still a little of his brain matter on the pointy toes. But no, those were the shoes that I was standing in when I walked by the Kevin Dunn on purpose the last time that I ever saw it, as he turned away from me and huddled in a deep conversation over in the corner. So he couldn't see me and I continued by. That was our interaction. But yeah, so you can see the world through my eyes on my eyeglasses or walk a mile in my shoes. Don't try to walk a mile in tuxedo shoes. That's why I bought these things instead of renting them, because of my extraordinarily flat feet. And I didn't want to be fucking miserable. But now I do not imagine anyone will ever see me in a tuxedo again. Can you see what would call for that to happen?
Some Saudi prince says, hey, I want you to come to my wedding.
I don't know any Saudi princes or their princess daughters that would be any of the prince or princesses that were their offspring that would be getting married.
The episode where we forgot how to speak English is upon us today.
Are you ready to talk about some wrestling?
Yeah.
Road Dogg. Brian James, the former roadie and Road Dogg, a DX member, close friend and confidant of Triple H, has apparently quit the WWE. And that's all I heard at first. And then upon further examination of trying to find out what people are saying, nobody knows the facts, but a lot of people saying that he's recently was given his annual review. I guess they do that now because everybody's an employee or something or other. But some people are saying it wasn't related to that, but other people are saying after he was given his annual review, apparently they might have said something to him he didn't fucking like. Because the Armstrongs get to a point where they decide they've had enough, and then they just go home to Pensacola. But what do you know about this, young Brian?
Not too much. The first thing I heard was just he was out. Not whether he quit or whether he was fired, just he was out. And then the performance review stuff started going around, and that's where it kind of gets a little muddy, I guess. Did he hear something he didn't like and just say, fuck you, I'm going home?
Well, see.
And they said, okay.
Well, but now sometimes when people say I'm going home, they're hard to argue with right at that point. And there's also the potential that they might not want it to. But there's also the potential that he just fed up enough of whatever the fuck. What was the famous line from Betty Davis to another actress in the 40s whose husband was messing around on her? She said, darling, is the fucking you're getting worth the fucking you're getting? Is he just reached a mirror-cracked moment? His brother, Steve Armstrong. I told you this off the air, but I'll say it. Fuck it. Because it's fucking classic. Steve Armstrong went up there to work in, I think, 1992. And they made him Lance Cassidy, the singing cowboy or whatever the fuck he was. And he got they put him on one of those trips on the road where he hadn't been home in 3 weeks or whatever. And he told me, because he came to work for me in Smoky Mountain finally after that. And he said, I got up one morning like the Super 8 hotel and went in the bathroom and the mirror cracked. he said, he just packed his shit up and came home, went home to fucking Pensacola and was just as happy for it. He just, so I mean, Road Dogg has obviously lasted a lot longer, but at some point, he may have felt disrespected by something they said, or on the Unreal episodes, Brian, he did sometimes look a little disgruntled, like, well, fuck. But I don't, but it's the story is not going around that they gave him a bad review and then they let him go. It's that he went in and quit after they gave him a review. So I don't know what to think otherwise. And he's like, well, fuck it then, which is to me is hilarious because he's one of the last remnants of the wrestling business. Nobody, none of the other writers on the goddamn team you ever hear about say, well, fuck it. I'll just go home. It used to happen all the time.
You know, and SmackDown hasn't been good, or at least enjoyable. But then again, neither has Raw. By and large, there are moments and matches, but the entire experience is not a pleasurable one as a viewer and as a wrestling fan, and there are weeks where you could just skip it. So you don't know how much of SmackDown is the responsibility of the head writer of SmackDown, because being the head writer of SmackDown doesn't mean like everything I pick gets on SmackDown. It means he's delivering the script to the next person, to get up to Triple H. So,
well, wasn't there some kind of chain of command listed with this other writer, which I'll get to in a second? They got a new Raw writer, but I'm going to make this blanket statement, which covers everybody, even the knuckleheads on the fucking creative team. The fact that they have 10 or 15 of these writers apparently on each show means that you can't judge anybody on this creative team by what the fucking creative is. Because you've either got a couple people who really know what they're doing that's getting outvoted or out politicked, or you've got a couple people who really know what they're doing that's trying to do shit, but the couple people that really don't know what they're doing on the other end of the spectrum are dragging them down in the middle, or somebody in the middle of that has a favorite that has managed to make just enough of a little change that it didn't come off like it should. So you can't judge anybody. The only way you could judge a booker on the creative team is if they were the only one. The only one that fairly gets to be judged as the booker is Triple H, because he gets the final decision. But you don't know what anybody on the team has contributed except when you see it on Unreal. Does that make sense, Brian?
Right. Is Brian James or anyone in the head writer position, do they ever submit the show they want to submit? Or are they submitting a show that they think will get past Bruce Pritchard to Triple H? You know what I mean? Like, it's like submitting something for Vince's approval. You're not writing the show you want to write. You're writing something that this guy who wants to be in charge of everything will want on the show. And again, I'm not trying to take whatever bad creative or good creative the Road Dogg has. It's not even about that. We don't know because it's someone else's show. And
well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, it's you've got an element of something there, but it's not necessarily as cut and dried a reason or as simple as that. In that, even if you're the head writer of a show within this company structure, you have a structure in the company where, okay, we've got these guys, they have to be pushed, they have to be figured in, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to write for them. But now also, well, these other people and the other creative teams are voting for these other people to be featured. And so you're sometimes turning in a format to the guy above you with like, you might agree with 60% of the shit on there just because the other people have to have their goddamn input and then you give your thoughts. But when that guy delays the information, as Reggie B. Fine would say one time on TV, to the next person up, they may be putting more passion into the pitches for their fucking particulars. And it's a goddamn, Jesus Christ, it's worse than the Hollywood studio system in terms of more steps you have to follow and more input. At least they'd have a script writer or two, and the producer would try to tell the director what to do. And then, boy, you were done.
But post Vince McMahon, I still don't understand why they want this system, why it's still in place. The system Vince McMahon built where he has to have a giant writing team and they have to fly around and they have to submit shows up to the last second and stay up all night. Why does there need to be a team? Well, professional wrestling never needed that until Vince McMahon decided he wanted that. And then everyone was like, well, that's what we need. We need writers.
But no, and again, somebody, I'm gonna cut off the comments that some people are gonna make by saying, well, it's so much bigger now than it was then. And that is correct. There is so many more people involved and so much more bullshit because they have made it to the point where every single goddamn thing has to be written. Okay, here's the schedule for fucking Tozawa to fart this afternoon. 3:45, and 4:30. Tell him don't eat beans for lunch. Everything's scripted, and then there's so many promos, and so many commercials, and so many blah, blah, blah. You got 18 million people running around with a fucking, well, it used to be with a pad and paper, and now it's with a goddamn some type of device. Said, okay, I'm producing this. But at the creative level, they make work for themselves. There should be a lot of producing minions for all the ancillary video and spots and promos they have to do, but deciding nuts and bolts of the cards, the wins, the losses, and the TV formats for the major shows, three fucking people that live, breathe, and eat the wrestling business. And there you have it.
Well, we'll see what happens with Brian James. Of course, like you said, a new head writer on Raw. Her name is Alexandra Williams.
Well, yes, because I was going to now here on the other side of the coin, which I've never met Alexandra, but I know not only Road Dogg, but many members of his family, even though in all fairness, I have not talked to Road Dogg in years and years since last time I've seen anybody in person. But at least I have met him. and I'd like to think that he just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm pissed off. I'm going home. I'm fucking old. But this woman, Alexandra Williams, who is now, she announced on LinkedIn, this went out on the wrestling news sites. So I'm not like prying into her social media. But I guess LinkedIn is a place where people brag about their jobs. Why did she put her own press release out?
It's where, professionals, it's like a social media site for business professionals, and some people use it for networking, some people use it to find jobs, and some people are very, very active on there for who knows what reason.
Well, she's got a job, but she seems to be very happy with, but wants to brag about. So I don't know what the fuck she's crowing about. But anyway, she's got her chest all poofed out, as Aunt Lola might have said. She announced on LinkedIn she's been promoted to lead writer of Monday Night Raw and is now a vice president, a VP for the company. On her account, Williams wrote, as VP and lead writer for WWE's flagship live program, I oversee all creative development for Monday Night Raw, one of television's longest running and highest rated weekly shows. I pitch to and collaborate with executive leadership and a cross-functional writing team to conceptualize and execute week-to-week storylines, character arcs, premium live event build-ups, including WrestleMania and Survivor Series. I help drive the full creative process from episode rundowns to long-form narrative strategy. I need oxygen. Developing complex characters and compelling feuds that deepen audience engagement across live broadcast, digital platforms, and social media. My work is informed by an analytical approach, tracking segment performance, audience trends, and viewership data to make real-time and long-term programming decisions.
Fuck off.
In partnership with talent producers and brand leadership, I've contributed to record-setting live attendance and revenue growth, or live event attendance and revenue growth, helping position Raw as the cornerstone of WWE's content ecosystem under the TKO umbrella. Brian, I have never actually seen somebody come out in public and snort an entire line of their own shit.
Well, apparently she likes her own shit. And apparently she thinks she's a big part of the big machine. And obviously she's the mastermind behind everything we've seen on Raw that we've liked over the last few years. It must all be hers. I can't explain it. I'm looking right here. I just Googled her and
that's here's the thing. If you the greatest booker in the history of wrestling, let's say you went up to Eddie Graham and said, Eddie, what is your job? And he would have said, I manipulate people's emotions to sell tickets. And that would have been the end of his fucking statement. Oh, Christ on a cracker, this insufferable. Why in the world do they're huffing, literally huffing. I bet they're farting in jars and taking it into the meetings to fucking pass around and sniff each other's.
Because she's presenting herself, because WWE won't last forever and she'll have to get another job somewhere else in entertainment, and this will sound really impressive, and wherever that is, you probably don't have to worry about shoot interviews of people saying, yeah, she was fucking Ed Koskey, or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, she's ready for her future in the real entertainment industry.
But the first fucking glimmer of knowledge you had that this woman existed was when I was reading to you what she wrote in her own words, and you had said, oh, fuck you, 3/4 of the way in.
Well, again,
so how is this
ridiculous.
Supposed to fucking make her look good?
Can you imagine too, like, I'm sure this is not how it played out, but let's just imagine Brian James is in there for his review, and all of a sudden and by the way, meet the new head writer of Raw. What the fuck? According to the Wrestling Observer, she reports to Ed Koskey, who reports to Bruce Pritchard, who reports to Paul Levesque. There are multiple chains up the line. I mean, it's so ridiculous. She's the head writer of Raw. So, again, I think none of this is needed. We don't need writing teams. It has not helped the product. And based on the way a lot of people are doing their promos, it may not be overnight, but I think it would help everyone and everything if people started sounding more natural. And
yes,
we're going through a period where no one's sounding natural again.
I agree. They might not have too many people. What they have is too many people on the creative team. Like I said, if they had 3 people on the creative team that told the other 27 or whatever, this is what we're doing, rather than in inviting the input from those other 27, then you'd have a little sharper fucking program. Or the boys and girls could just go into business for themselves, Brian. Are we hearing that our beloved Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill have gone into business for themselves? Or is this part of a carefully contrived plot? Is this something that they turned from a semi-shoot into a full-fledged work.
It's a full-fledged one, yeah.
Is it a full-fledged work? And also, did poor Piper Niven just get in the middle and say, well, you know what? Fuck you, you bitch, without realizing she was in the middle of something when she's out of the goddamn picture.
Yeah. No one had thought of Dewdrop in a minute. All of a sudden, she's in this feud.
Well, I think she was coming to fire back thinking that it was a shoot, and she's going, now listen 1 minute, you fucking whore, a type of tone, and didn't realize that that's like when they were fake arresting me in Spartanburg, and I didn't know it, but Baby Doll did. As they dragged me past her, she's giggling, and I'm like, what are you laughing at, you fat fucking bitch? She straightened up real quick, rib or not. She wasn't smiling then, but I didn't know. I thought she was laughing at me being taken to fucking jail. So what I'm thinking is that goddamn, did old Piper just come into this because she's like, hey, you take it. I'm taking up for my friend. What help me understand this? Because they were trying to argue snidely. I can't pick up Twitter arguments unless it's a clear, hey, fuck you, pal, and here's why type of thing, instead of them trying to be all snidely.
That still, by the way, is my favorite story. You getting fake arrested and everyone around knowing it was a rib was laughing, and you honed in on the one person who you were about to work with.
No, everybody else wasn't laughing. That's nothing. They were working. They kept it straight. And it was like I was looking from they were fucking like, oh shit. Because I was saying somebody get David Crockett, get somebody named Crockett. Don't worry, Jim, that type of thing. And then there's Baby Doll just fucking curled up laughing. I'm like, you fucking, hey.
Then what happened? Like, did it end right there? They keep walking you, or what happened after you cursed her out?
Well, no, that's what they took me. It's hard to explain the layout of the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium, but they took me out the door. Instead of going left, where I would have been immediately in the arena, they turned me right, where you would go out the back door, where the James boys were carrying me to lynch me behind the truck. That fucking door there.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And right before I would go out again in the back where the people were, I think at first they may have been going to take me and put me in a car. They put other people in a car to really fucking rub it in, but there was fans out there. So but they stopped me at the back door. They said, read this warrant we've got. And I'm like, what's it? Make sure you see it's been signed. And I looked down, and that's when I realized it'd been signed by Big Daddy Jimmy Crockett. And then they started laughing. Because I think although now that I think about it, the way that I was, all indications were that if they let me get out that back door, I may have made a run for it. And back in those days, 40 years ago, they didn't want to run up that fucking hill to catch me. They might have thought
it just gets better and better. You would have run up the hill?
Well, they might have thought I would, and I don't know. If I saw fucking blue sky and sidewalk, would I think I'm going to jail in Spartanburg? And again, this was 40 years ago. I was a lot lighter. And before I blew my knees. So these fucking cops were older and fucking heavier.
So they exposed the rib to you outside. What happens when you go back inside? When do you see Baby Doll again?
I think she was avoiding me for a while. I think about it. We just continued it, because that's one of the only places that I would see Doll when we were working the program with each other, because there was no even like regular room that could be used for the lady. She was the only girl on the roster to change. So she just had to sit in the middle. When you went in this door, to the right was the heel locker room. To the left was the babyface locker room. And she dressed in the hallway in the middle where the monitor sat. So that it was cramped quarters. But then we went back to just working and not speaking for a while.
Well, I guess it's a good thing you guys didn't have Twitter, is the point.
Well, yes, because that's the point, is what in the world am I hearing about all the stuff going on between Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill and then other people started getting involved. And how did this begin?
Well, again, I have here, there's a whole bunch of things. As soon as this happened, people start sending it over saying, I can't wait to hear Jim talk about this.
Well, I don't know I can't understand when I'm seeing bits and pieces off of Twitter of who instigated what.
Let me go to what the Observer wrote up.
Oh boy. We know he's on Twitter constantly.
It was exactly. It was basically the two building their match by trying to be inside, with Cargill talking about how Ripley was the second option. And Dave says he's not sure if she was referring to Bianca Belair, who, as we know, was supposed to be in the main event at WrestleMania if the injury hadn't happened, or Liv Morgan, who won the match to get a title shot. Ripley said that all you seem to do is talk, and that's literally it. Cargill wrote back, talk? Like the hours you spend talking to creative?
Oh, good Lord.
Ripley wrote back, you're funny. That's funny. Now we know you really do the talking out of your ass because everything you say is bullshit. Don't spread lies on my name, you dumb bee.
Okay. I don't think anybody's mad if they call somebody a dumb bee.
Yeah, this is Twitter. You got to be able to spell that out. Cargill wrote back, oh God, another victim. Will you girls lighten up and stop crying? We haven't even started yet. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven ended up jumping into this. Green said that Rhea, this is a quote, Rhea is proof that you can be kind, respectful, and the most talented wrestler in the world.
That's just, and the sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar. What? I mean, how is that an inflammatory statement? She's just praising someone without commenting on anybody else.
Well, again, Jade wasn't mentioned, but Jade then wrote, it's no point to even go and embarrass yourself on this app. You always have something to say about everything. And then Niven jumped in with, who the fuck, even said anything about you? To Cargill, contrary to your belief, the world doesn't actually revolve around you. No point to even embarrass yourself on this app. Give you enough ring time and you'll do it yourself.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's what here comes Piper. I love her. I want to contribute to her goddamn medical fund to get her back as quick as possible. The other girls, or the first two, are jousting back and forth with each other, we think, to promote their event. And Chelsea jumps in because that's a thing she does, but she didn't say anything inflammatory. But goddamn, as soon as Piper thought that Jade was on Chelsea, she's like, hey, fuck you, hold up, pump the brakes. And she went right to the goddamn meat of the matter. That's fucking great.
Well, Cargill responded, that's above your pay grade, Piper. Relax.
Yeah, vicious comeback.
Oh, excuse me. I actually missed there's one before that. Cargill then wrote back, hey, Piper, I hope you're healing okay. Can't wait to give you some ring time. To which Niven wrote back, yeah, maybe by the time you're back from your many vacations, I'll finally be recovered. Lick my ring, ya boot. That's the way it's written here in the Observer. And then Cargill wrote, that's above.
And we don't know whether that's Dave having a stroke or that's some kind of slang from over there in the UK, but
that's above your pay grade, Piper. Relax. And
so again, the girls are working, it sounded like, and Piper hears something negative. It's like, hey, what the fuck? She didn't know. Oh, that's fucking great.
See, the issue may be that beyond this, whatever is playing out on social media with Rhea and Jade, there may be some talent there that don't like Jade Cargill. So they wait for like, oh shit, there's an opening now. Go, go, go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you can tell that there has been some pent up opinions, but here's the thing. We've seen this now. It's been 5 or 6 years or whatever since the experiment began. And Jade Cargill got into this business in a completely unique and bizarre way that nobody beforehand or ever, male or female, has ever had this path in the business. Some people, oh, they pushed Luger before he was ready, or no, this is literally, they found this girl that had a unique look and said, we're going to teach her how to wrestle. And they did, to the extent that they did, and put her on TV with her own belt that she defended against other girls. And as you called it one time, Brian, I think this alternate universe where these are the people that interact with Jade Cargill. And she was never, she was not only was never defeated, but more importantly than that, she was just featured in a match to beat someone or to do interviews, and sometimes given minions to have around her. But she was never put in a big pay-per-view match or really integrated into the full fucking world of the AEW roster. It was just like her own little thing. And she never had to lose until she was leaving. If she had, and then when she goes to the WWE, now, what's it been, a couple of years in, obviously they've realized they've got what they've got in the ring. She ain't going to get any better. We can examine why she might not. That's the point. Is it because of the way she was brought in, or just a natural not being able to do this or grasp this? Is it, if she had started in NXT or in any wrestling school or wanted to be a wrestler or ever contemplated it before AEW, she would have not only been taught how to do moves and have matches and whatever, but how to think about the business and how to work with other people when it's not all about you, because it is a team effort at heart, sometimes with not all good intentions. And fundamentally, how to take care of yourself, but at the same time do things for other people or whatever, or just Tom McGee facet. At some point, does somebody look great but hit their level of, that's as far as they can go and they can't go no farther? But mentally, she was not prepared for anything other than being a featured superstar on a national TV show. And not only did Tony Khan pay her well, but I'm sure the WWE's paying her well. But remember, didn't we say she's got a professional athlete that she's married to that I assume has a couple dollars to rub together?
Yeah, Brandon Phillips. He was a really good second baseman.
So she's doing this at this point to be a performer on television, and because she has fun being that bitch. But she's never been taught how to exist in the world of wrestling when she's not that bitch. And sometimes other people get to be that bitch. And most of the time, whoever that bitch is had to earn being that bitch instead of just saying it.
She's got the character down and the attitude down and the aura down. The psychology, the mentality. I don't know. You know, again, I say mentality just because of this Twitter shit. I mean, you have to wonder what the fuck you're doing unless it's all just a work, but why would Piper Niven be?
I think Piper was the one that didn't know that they were working. Is like, I'll tell you what I fucking think. Fucking douchebag. I thought that's great. Oh, she got over with me there.
I mean, I hate to say that we had Rhea Ripley's name attached to this. She didn't do anything. It seemed like Rhea Ripley shouldn't even be involved in this.
Well, but that's the thing, is because people were believing that Rhea and Jade were sniping And and they were anxiously hanging on this, but it seems like, to me at least, it was a work. But then when Piper came in with a fucking sledgehammer, and that was just unforeseen, and poor thing, she's not even off the injured list yet, but she bought it, so somebody else had to buy it too, didn't they?
Well, I wish we had gotten Bianca and Jade. That was the thing they were building up from the moment Jade got there, and unfortunately, it didn't work out.
And here, I'll say one more thing, and then possibly people want to give me the finger. But God damn it, poor Bianca Belair. But she's been out of action since last WrestleMania, which is almost a year now, for her finger. And it's caused her that much pain, and she can't straighten it. At some point, Brian, how bad would you need your index finger if you couldn't work for a year and it was giving you constant fucking pain and multiple operations? How bad do you need it?
I mean, I use it a lot. What do you mean need it? I don't know how to answer that.
Is there some point where you just take the fucking thing off?
No, I don't think I would go. You're advocating for Bianca Belair to have her finger removed?
Well, I'm like, the poor thing. She's put up the videos of how she's having this painful physical therapy and multiple surgeries, and it's the pain, and she hadn't been able to work in a year, and it's just stress, and it's horrible. I'm like, it's at some point, how much are you worth, my fucking finger? Fuck you. Now, if it was a leg or an arm, I'm gonna put up with a lot more goddamn aggravation. But there comes a point. I was ready to with my big toe before they told me it was curable and has been alleviated. I was like, well, fuck, if I had to, I don't need that son of a bitch. I'd rather, if I was going to have it taken off, it'd be the one with the bunion on it, but that's the other foot. But there's no reason to go into that now.
No, there isn't. But that was the Twitter news of the show. Rhea and Jade.
But yes, Rhea and Jade and Bianca's finger. So you still maintain that you need all your fingers and toes.
Yeah, I don't think she's at the point yet where she would say, remove my finger. It's not like it's rotten. It's just it's not healing correctly.
Well, it's being awful stubborn. Anyway, you know what they all need, whether it's Rhea or it's Jade or it's Piper or it's even Bianca, to keep us apprised on whether she can give us the finger or not. They need their phones. They need their tablets. They need their media. They need all the things that the kids use. That's what they need. And to charge those things, Brian, they need our friends over at Ridge and the amazing space age technology of the revolutionary 5-in-1 travel power bank with the built-in cables that lets you charge all your devices at the same time with just one power bank, the size, not even as big as an 8-track cassette tape, ladies and gentlemen. And no extra cables. They just come, they flummox right. It's like a science fiction movie. These things, you can pull them out and they just come out in all directions like a goddamn spider climbing up the wall. And you can stick your phone in one and your headphones in the other one, your watch in one, your Kindle in one. It's magnetic, so you can stick your goddamn phone right on the side of it and it sticks. And then if folks, let's say if you're sleeping in like a motel or somebody's apartment, you're in a guest bedroom, or you're just sleeping out in an alleyway in a strange location or in a box, you fear for your safety, put this thing, slap it on your phone, stick it in one of your socks, and use it as a slapjack. If anybody comes around you in the fucking dark, just beam them right in the goddamn head, because this can do some damage.
It could, so you don't want to do that. And of course, do not get yourself in that kind of situation. Why don't you focus on the benefits, the wonderful joys that one can get out of the Ridge. The thing is, Brian, if you got 5 or 6 cords all tangled up in your bag that you got to plug your devices in, not only do you have 5 or 6 cords all tangled up in your bag, but you still got to plug that into something. You got to plug it into the wall or something, right? That's got some power. Well, that's where this comes in.
because it's got the wires and cables and it's already got the power in it. It's got 20 watts of power, 10,000 milliamp hours capacity, 3 full phone charges right there in this thing, or whatever else you want to charge. It'll charge those things too. But you don't have to plug it in the wall because the power is already there. And as I mentioned, you can stick the phone magnetically to the side of the charging bank as well as all these things. And if you've got something plugged into all these things and you put that in a sock, you swing that son of a bitch one fucking shot, then somebody's going down, ladies and gentlemen.
You won't go down with it. With power. Power will be there whenever you need it with the great Ridge magnetic power bank.
Behind the back catch, like everything Ridge makes, it's built to last, and it's got free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty. You can take a hammer to this. As a matter of fact, it don't take a hammer to it because sparks will fly off of it that will electrify people around you. But also...
No, it won't. No, they won't. No, it won't. It won't happen. No.
Well, don't take a hammer to it and you won't find out. And if you break down on the side of the road, you can take one of these cables out and stick it onto your jumper cable and attach the one jumper cable. Well, at least to your balls, if not to the fucking battery in the car, just for a pleasurable time while you're waiting for AAA. But these things...
No, let's focus on devices and phones and tablets and things that everyday people do. Everyday people need everyday power, like the power you get from the Ridge magnetic power bank.
Love everyday power. Yeah, yeah. Charge your phone and charge your tablet. And these things are available in matte olive, base camp orange. I don't know. Maybe that says the color of the cones on the highway. Hyper lime, dark harbor. I don't know. That sounds like the fucking side of the lake at night. And matte black. That's what I got. Good old matte black. He never lets me down. But they got a variety of colors. They come with an LED charge status indicator. Gives you the battery and charge levels. Glance at it. You know how much juice you got. You know whether, and also if you got this thing in your pocket, somebody tries to slip their hand in your pocket and take their wallet, boom, they're going to get a little jolt. They're going to be, oh, fuck, you'll see steam coming out of their ears and they'll snatch their hand back out of your pocket. And if you have a Ridge wallet next to it, well, then that creates an invisible force field a foot around you where no one can touch you without having a sharp electric shock. About 12 to 14 inches away, Brian, wouldn't you say?
I would say that this is nothing anyone would have to worry about. If this was a comic book, that may be a skill, an attribute that you would have, but that is not anything you need to worry about with the safe and magnetic Ridge power bank. Jim?
Yes.
I understand.
See, it's all about being magnetic.
That's
understand. Where the force field comes in.
There's a great deal right now.
I got to tell him about the deal. Shut up so I can tell them about the deal. Ridge is having their once-a-year anniversary sale right fucking now. So head over to Ridge, RIDGE, Ridge.com to get up to 40% off. That's for these things and the workmanship and the quality and the heavy metal, not only the sound, but also the materials. 40% off. At Ridge.com, after you check out, tell them we sent you. But once a year anniversary sale, Ridge.com, up to 40% off. Just mention the name of us, our show here, the Jim Cornette Experience, and that is your entree, your ticket to the not only the discount, but the amazing world of power and wallets and things you can put in your pocket and use as self-defense items. They're so sturdy and well-built. And also, can you imagine if you took one of these 5-in-1 travel power banks and made a belt buckle out of it? Then you could just kind of reach down and go, and it shoot lightning right out the fucking
that's not a feature.
People.
We were at the end. I don't know why you have to add features.
Well, I was thinking if they could modify that thing, that would be cool, and then you'd have it right there, and you just plug everything right. You plug your dick in, and God
damn it! Why do you keep going in the wrong direction? We're all the way here at the end, and of course, Jim, everyone needs power. Power to the people. Get your power with the Ridge magnetic power bank one last time without any further commentary, that wonderful promo code.
40% off at ridge.com, RIDGE, and tell them that the Jim Cornette Experience sent you.
Ridge!
All right. Well, Brian, we got to talk a little bit about the TV wrestling from this last week. And of course, Raw, a few days ago, March the 2nd, was from Indianapolis. And again, it's 3 hours and there's a lot of downtime. So I wanted to recognize a couple of things because they are adding to the stories they are trying to build for WrestleMania. But they opened the thing with Paul Lee and Logan Paul and Austin Theory, the remaining ambulatory members of the Vision. And Paul Lee, again, great, promo. But he's vowing revenge on Seth, and Theory got a little promo time. He's getting a little more comfortable, it looks like, on the mic. And then Logan Paul, they just hate him. And he makes the statement, they're calling Seth Rollins out. We won't leave until he comes out here. And of course, Adam Pearce comes out and says, leave. And then here come the masked men. One masked man comes out and the security with Adam Pearce chases him away. And another masked man comes out and Logan Paul chases him out of the building. And then another one comes out and Austin Theory chases him out of the building. And then Paul realizes he's alone. And he starts getting you can tell because his cheeks start trembling and like shaking up and down. And he's nervous, and another masked man appears. And while Paul is begging from him, the real masked man who is behind Paul. So how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was number 6. But anyway, as Paul is begging off from the last fake one, the real masked man pops his hood, and it's Seth, and he gets a big pop. And then he comes in and he hits Paul in the back with a chair, and that poor chair. God damn. Whoop, it sounded like he was hitting a fucking Helix sleep mattress. And down goes Heyman. Down goes Heyman. And he was selling like he was swimming in a pool with no water in it. It was because he was laying on his belly, so the rest of him couldn't really reach the ground. So his arms and legs were kind of almost suspended.
All right. Let's get back to what actually happened here and not exaggerate anything about.
Report on the incidents. And then he got up in the right place, and Seth milked it and gave him a stomp and got a big pop. And then as Paul was laying there and quivering, Seth ran out through the crowd, and you see the EMTs coming out to check on him. And we go to the break. Oh, what's happened to Heyman? And when we come back, they've already got him in the back of the ambulance, and he's got a gimmick bloody nose, like his face has been bashed in. And suddenly, as they've loaded him in this ambulance, Jimmy Uso pulls up in a truck or a SUV and starts beating up Austin Theory, who's trying to attend to Paul. And then he walked up to the ambulance, and L.A. Knight was driving the ambulance. And he pulled out. And not in a sexual way. But it was very Austin-ish, but they went to the trouble of Heyman doesn't take bumps very often. They hit him with a chair and they stomp him, and he's got the gimmick nosebleed, and then they turned it into the Attitude Era ha-ha with one of the baby faces driving the ambulance. What were your thoughts?
Like much of modern WWE, there were little bits I liked. In the midst of a giant sea of, why did they do that? This doesn't make sense, whatever. The masked guy thing. Is it ever going to be explained? Are we just going to think that Seth Rollins had this crew of guys who could run around and act like, fucking cat burglars?
they got special forces background because they're staging on the attack and the timing on the infiltration. Perfect.
Yeah, how'd they get in the building? Are they part of the crew? Are we figuring out who they are? Because they would need time in the building to have an exit strategy, to know where to have everyone chase you. The LA Knight thing in the back I thought was too much. Whether it's attitude error or, you think it's over, you're in the ambulance and Freddy Krueger's driving, whatever it is. I could see what they're trying to do, but it almost is like, hey, Russo's booking again. I didn't like that.
I think everybody thinks of Austin when something like that happens, and that's a reason to just leave it to Austin, because you're constantly going to be compared to it. Anyway, that will continue on later on with the Vision sagas, but Gunther had a match with Dragon Lee, and I'm saying it's not the match I want to talk about, but just what they did in it, because it felt like trying to watch AEW. At this Garden Gnome, went 15 minutes competitively with Gunther, but he's as big as one leg. But what they did was they again, it was competitive. That was why it was not my cup of tea. But at the end, Gunther gets behind him and rips his mask off and puts a big sleeper on him, covering up his face, but he's got the sleeper, and old Dragon Lee tapped out because he wanted to get out of there because he didn't want anybody to see his face. And then Gunther held it a little extra after because he's a heel and a blah, blah, blah. But it became a controversy. I think Uncle Dave was on the side of defending Lucha Libre, but it was a controversy because somebody put up a fucking screenshot of the split second you saw this guy's face. And some people were, and you can imagine which ones, were up in arms. Oh my God, they're pissing all over Lucha Libre. It's a dishonor to see the game. Yeah. I'm thinking the guy's probably honored that he's got this high paying of a fucking job, and that was the finish, and they aired it on television. They didn't expect people to fucking analyze it like the Zapruder film.
Well,
but they don't care.
Well, they should have. This is pro wrestling. That's exactly how wrestling fans do it.
Well, but they don't care either, because that's part of the fucking deal in Lucha Libre is when the guy gets denuded, is it demasked, that he covers up his face, that often causes him to fucking lose, and he'd rather that than reveal his face. And it also, this guy's got the teenage bout with leprosy, which caused severe disfigurement anyway. But the point is, it was part of the fucking angle. They don't care, because it's not like seeing Mil Mascaras at one time or El Santo. It's Dragon fucking Lee. Is anybody going to remember what he looks like next week? But I mean, were this controversy, do you think they're making too much out of it like I do, or is this some kind of legitimate fucking gripe?
You're talking about the people mad at WWE for doing it, or the people mad at the people who posted images of it on Twitter?
I'm talking about the people that's mad at the people for getting mad at those people. See who I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I think anyone mad at people who have posted images of it, WWE had it on TV. It's their fault. They should have not shown that so you could see his face for a split second. And then they knew what to do. They pulled all the way back. I've never seen a WWE Raw shot like that for the last couple of minutes of it. You obviously have a lot of bad memories of the way Eric Bischoff treated Lucha Libre. Specifically, Rey Mysterio being told to get rid of the mask. Which I think most people, I was talking to you around that period of time. Most people would have thought that was insane. The idea you have this incredibly marketable star and you want to change that. They didn't say he's not going to wear his mask again. He was wearing makeup around his eyes, as a lot of these guys do in the masks. It's not like there's a clear image of him. There's a blurry image of him getting choked out for a split second. I'm not against the the finish or anything. No, I think that's fine. But, I guess the controversy I saw was just about the image of a luchador without his mask getting out there and how it's disrespectful to Lucha
and
Libre.
that's just, it's ridiculous that, again, it's not an earth-shaking revelation unless somebody could match him up facially with one of the AI things with a goddamn noted bank robber in San Paulo or something. Then we'd have a story here.
The other thing is it has happened, and I don't know if Mysterio's the best one to point to, but before he went off the rails, so to speak, Alberto Del Rio, where you had a mask guy who, when the promoters saw him without the mask, they're like, oh my God, you're a good-looking person. I could use that. I could sell that. Unless they saw Dragon Lee without the mask and, and said, Dragon or Mr. Lee, we think we have another way forward. You can make lots of merch money. I don't know.
Anyhow, does
that mean we're going to get more of this, though? I guess that's the other question. Are we going to get more Gunther and Dragon Lee because now he has to get revenge for this?
I hope not. I really hadn't contemplated that. Now you've just brought me all the way down. Because no, I don't want to. Gunther what is he doing at WrestleMania? He's a main event fucking guy, and he's playing with the children. Anyhow, speaking of children, were you going to ask me a question?
No, I was just going to say they should bring in Mil Mascaras to get revenge for all the luchadors against Gunther, and then Gunther retires him.
I don't think, not even Gunther. I don't think Karl Gotch could retire fucking Mascaras. But speaking of children of people who had children, one of the Usos, Jimmy Uso, faced Austin Theory. And I wanted to again watch Austin Theory, see his improvement. I like the new gear. It looks good in terms of, had such a great physique. He looked fine in tights, but now this gives him a personality and a little edge to him. But he's getting more confident in what he's doing. And again, I know some people are going to say, oh, he loves Austin Theory. Austin Theory is so boring. If that's the same thing that I see him, is the same thing that Heyman sees, same thing that everybody else sees, is that his athletic talent and probably to be getting these chances, his personal effort behind the scenes and whatever the fuck, we're seeing what he can do as he's a puppy with big paws and he's growing. And unfortunately, this was with an Uso brother because that presents stumbling blocks. But he's got animated bumping. He seems to always be in the right place. He doesn't rush at the same speed, but he bursts into things, and at the payoff, he'll slow down and react. He's got facials and body language for working like a heel. You can tell he's clearly working hard for the opportunity, because I'm not talking about the number of moves he's making, which is immaterial to anything. He's on the whole time he's out there, which again doesn't mean doing 100 moves. It means being Austin Theory, facially, body language, reacting to your environment the whole time that he's out there, whenever he's visible, not just going through the motions when he's performing something complicated athletically and then laying there like a fucking dead fish after he's done something that would kill people. It's more natural with him. But then Jimmy Uso cleaned off the desk and put Theory on top of it and went to the top rope, but Logan Paul came in the ring, so Uso dove on him, and Theory got on Uso, and they got disqualified and got like 7.2 seconds of heat. And Jey Uso's music played. And Jey Uso, who, remember, they took him out in an ambulance last week, right? And this is the dastardly whodunit, right, Brian?
That's right. They took him out on Smackdown.
Well, he came in from the backside with a pair of crutches, but he's goddamn ambulatory. He was showing no ill effects of anything. And he gave one crutch to brother, and he kept the other one, and they beat up the fucking heels. So how was this? It was a thing that kept him out of the elimination chamber that he recovered from in 7 days, good as he ever was. Same as it ever was. They obviously needed to get him. We knew that, but could they make it any more obvious on their programming? We had to get this unplanned for motherfucker out of the elimination chamber. I'm just saying.
It's going to suck when we get the Vision versus the Usos at WrestleMania.
Speaking of the Vision, did you hear what Corey Graves said right at the end of this thing when the heels had been routed by the fucking, hospital patrol?
No, I actually skipped the segment. I have a Uso rule I've put into effect.
Well, Corey Graves said, what's that word going around about the Vision, Cole? Snake bit? I guess a lot of people, I guess, have been using that term, snake bit, for the Vision. But again, I will just say that Theory is in the upper percentage of natural workers. He picks up on shit. He's got a feel for it. And I would suggest that he keep doing exactly what he's doing right now and listening to everybody that he's listening to. But his timing and shit for how to react to things is something that you just can't teach some people. But this kind of environment with this level of talent and this level of production is what poor old Kyle Fletcher needs to ever get better mentally. And that way he would get better physically. But he's stuck over in indie land, which is why, Brad, we're recording this, right? This will live on for a few years. We pay our storage fee on the fucking cloud or whatever, right?
We're all paid up, yes.
Over the next 5 years, Austin Theory will become a much larger star in the pro wrestling business than Kyle Fletcher will, unless Kyle Fletcher comes to the same company that Austin Theory is currently at. And even then, I stand by that prediction.
So March 2031, you're saying on that date, Austin Theory will be a big star, or at least bigger than Kyle Fletcher.
I'm saying over the next 5 years, Austin Theory will be a clearly delineated bigger star, barring injuries or a safe falling on somebody's head. Either side, Austin Theory will be a bigger, more major, more marketable, and more well-used, recognizable star in a professional wrestling industry than Kyle Fletcher will be. Unless Kyle Fletcher gets out of where he is and gets some learning in him.
So already, there's nothing that gets some of the listeners riled up, and even some of the wrestlers who listen riled up, like your praise for Austin Theory. There's people who completely don't see anything and think that this is where you and Heyman are crazy.
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with anybody that doesn't see anything. I can understand having a learned discussion like, does he have the bass in his voice to sound authoritative enough? Or, is he going to really develop an over-the-top personality that we can snatch on to? Or, debates on fine points like that. But to think that he's not in the upper echelon of guys in the ring right now, just as an athletic performer at that young of an age, you're a complete fucking imbecile in the wrestling business is what you are. Did I insult anybody there? I didn't mean to.
I mean, I'm okay with what you're saying, but like I said,
I meant the royal you.
The feedback we get, this is one of those things that divides people. There are people who think you're crazy, and there's people who are like, yeah, I see it too. But a lot of people are not with it.
Well, as Frank Spaceman Hickey would say, not with it. Not with it. You need to get with it.
Well, if you're not with it, you're out of it.
Yeah, because if you're with it, if you're not with it, you're without it. With or without you.
Oh, no, let's go back to the review. WWE Raw.
We got, Danhausen. Let me just say that. Danhausen. Does that work where he pops up and does something if you say that name? He was back. This was his second appearance, and Brian, I can't again tell you how many, well, because you see it more than I do. That people are like, well, the first night bombed at the pay-per-view, the box expectation threw everybody off. He bombed the first night, but the second night, wow, he knocked it out of the park. I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to say some good things about this kid in a minute. And I like that he has got this appeal for some kind for some reason that people want to see him succeed and get over. The segment of the audience that knows who he is and is become enamored of what he does, they're in his corner rooting for him harder than most people, or that most people get people rooting for him. But here's the thing. This was like a skit in 2 parts, and the first part was great. And the finish was flatter than 4 o'clock, flatter than a plate full of piss. So let's talk about the good stuff. He does a thing with Adam Pearce, and Pearce is a perfect straight man. And he knows not to derail Danhausen's momentum, but he's just there to do the fill. Like, what are we doing here? And Danhausen does his thing, and he reacts, and Danhausen does his thing, and he reacts. You see what I'm saying? Pearce knows how to do it. He's got good timing. He's fucking quick. Danhausen has a list of demands. He wants his own blimp. He wants a Hall of Fame induction. He wants a personal assistant. He wants his face on the trucks. And he gives Pearce the list, which is soggy because it fell in the toilet. And Pearce drops it. Okay, it's childish, it's juvenile, but they made it work, right? That's what this whole thing actually kind of is to begin with.
Danhausen's very entertaining and very funny, but Pearce kind of made this part work because his reactions were perfect.
That's the thing, that's what I'm going to try to tell everybody, including anybody that's listening that has a vested interest, such as one of the performers in this, if you happen to be listening. Take note, if he's got somebody to play off of, it works a lot better. And when he does it, and then Pearce did it, I can understand the writers thinking, and then this will be funny. It's what we used to do with people at the Gardens, right? Well, I'll get them to talk to Ronnie Elligood. Pearce says, hey, Judgment Day, have you met Danhausen? And now we're going from the quick, the snappy patter and the little edit. Yeah, it's up. And now there's Finn and JD and Dominic. Dominic could be can do a little comedy, a little funny, a little ha-ha. But Finn and JD are just stone-faced, and they're not natural comedians. They don't necessarily have the timing to go back and forth with this particular gimmick. So it went from a little energy and a little witty banter in a juvenile fashion with Pearce to they're just staring at each other. There was no material there. They said a few things, but there was no funny lines. And then Danhausen cursed Dominic, and then when they turned around, he's disappeared. The first half was great. That's what they need to do if they're going to do Danhausen. The second half was flat and didn't make anybody look good. And I mean, did you feel the same energy?
Yes and no. To me, the biggest problem was just him disappearing at the end because literally one of the guys was facing in the direction Danhausen was. Dominic turned around, the other guys didn't, and then he's just gone. Dominic's reaction to that was good. I like what JD said. I think he said after Danhausen disappeared, he's a Batman. Like, that's a thing. I mean, that was my biggest... I actually didn't mind... It wasn't as good as the Pearce stuff. The material wasn't as good, but it was fun to get to see the new characters interact with each other.
Here's what I think they need to do with Danhausen. Because this is his gimmick. And he needs to stand or fall with it. I think if I was they've got him here. They've made the investment. It might not be my cup of tea wrestling wise, but if I was entrusted with booking him, I would say, okay, Danhausen, give me 45 seconds between you and so that you can give me the material. Tell me what you would have all of y'all say. This is your gimmick. Do you do a weird fucking sleight of hand trick or shock someone in some fashion or have some witty banter or whatever? What is your fucking thing? Give it to me. Tell me what it is. And then I might have some ideas, input on, well, let's turn it this way so the camera gets it better, or change a word, whatever the fuck. But I would let the guy stand or fall on his own fucking material. And if this is his gimmick and they're making this investment, let him write these little backstage goddamn wingdings. And if it's ludicrous, you've still got the ixnay factor, the veto. But otherwise, give him 4 or 6 weeks and let him do some of this backstage shit. And
him and Pierce
come up. Well, not just him and Pierce, but him and people that have an aptitude like Pierce for working with a quirky character in a 45-second to 1 minute glib exchange. Let him write his shit and see at the end of 6 weeks if anybody still wants to buy his shit, or if he's more over or less over. And then you'll know. But I would let him, I'd let him do his own shit and see what his shit is.
You know, after that debut at Elimination Chamber and we did the review and we didn't say anything bad about Danhausen. We ripped on the segment. We actually said, I think he's a very nice man, is what we said in the thing.
Well, yeah, but and also I think it made some people mad because they can't wrestle because they're used to the comedic mascot wrestling matches.
But the next day after Raw and after we put up the clip of the review of the Elimination Chamber segment, people were like, oh, you guys were too quick. You see? It's all better now. He was on for a minute.
Yeah.
A minute on a 3-hour show.
Backstage.
I hope they use him well. He's funny. I don't want them to lean into the ridiculous side of it, like magic and teleportation or anything, but he's a funny guy. And I enjoyed him and Pierce. Pierce's reaction to the soggy paper was great. That made me know enough that I want more of that.
It looked like, well, hey now, pissy paper. It looked like he was holding up something that he'd found in the fucking toilet at the ECW arena at a Ring of Honor taping. But nevertheless, I don't want to give anything away here, although we're not going to do a lengthy dissertation of it. But Dominic then goes out after he's cursed Dominic and loses the Intercontinental title. So, and a lot of people are, see already. Well, are they, I guess Danhausen's going to say, see, I cursed you. But I don't think that everybody, the announcers and all the talent was beating it to death. But if they were going to do that, I'll say this, then we'll move on. If they were going to do that then shouldn't he have the opportunity, Danhausen, to do 4 to 6 weeks of the backstage stuff, and he's getting himself and his shit over and letting people know what the fuck's going on with him. But one guy doesn't take it kindly and is offended by it and fucking does something to push him around or fucking bully him, as the kids say, or whatever. And that's the guy he curses. And then the guy goes out and he's on the verge of winning the thing. And he stands up on the top rope and the goddamn rope breaks. And he falls and boom, and he gets covered because he's knocked out. And then you make something of that. But it could have happened anyway. It has before, but golly, awful coincidental. But are we just, this second day in the company, he curses the guy out of a belt. What's happening here?
That was one of the funny lines, too, where Dominic has the belt and goes, ooh, can I have this? Can I have this?
Yeah.
No, you know, I like Danhausen. I really, if I could, I would right now produce a regular television show starring Danhausen and Gwen Gooley and Harley Cameron and just find a way to make it all work. But we'll see where they go. They're selling a lot of merch. Every independent toy company that had any Danhausen project that they were getting ready for, they're all launching that right away. So, I mean, you know, he's making a lot of people a lot of money.
Including that contract he signed with Adam and Eve is really going to come in handy.
Well, I don't know about that kind of toy, but yeah, we'll see where they go with that Danhausen. But people certainly liked them a whole lot better night 2 than they did night 1.
I'm telling you, that's the reality show. Damn that Danhausen. But the thing is, Brian, if Danhausen is going to wrestle in the WWE, he's going to have to gain some weight. He's going to have to start eating better, I think. Don't you believe that? That he would have to start getting on a better diet, eating better.
He would be rather slight in WWE, yes. He would probably
He needs to start eating more. And maybe it's because he's too busy. He's running around from coffin to coffin, cursing people. He's too busy to prepare a big gourmet meal with all the lean proteins and the colorful veggies and the whole food ingredients, the quality and functional type of things that you enjoy in a nice, reputable diet, dietitian approved, chef prepared type of thing. He's just probably eating fast food. He doesn't know about our friends at Factor. And I think it would be easy to fatten him up because he's probably a picky eater and he's eating the fast food. He's just getting poor nutrition and not much of it.
Well, again, I don't know anything about what Danhausen ingests, but I never look at him and go, that fast food maniac.
So well, no, it's he's eating like a bird, but it's all unhealthy. That's why he's got TB. You know, he was diagnosed with TB.
TB?
Twin bellies.
Oh, come on now.
And he's got the furniture disease. His chest is in his drawers. What? But right now,
come on, let's be nice.
He could eat quality food, a healthy diet, build his muscle, reduce his fat, batten down his hatches with our friends at Factor. The meals are always fresh and never frozen. They're ready in about 2 minutes. No prep, no stress. So he can go on about his busy day without having to eat garbage and pick at it like a bird. And of course, then he's allergic to garlic, being the vampire that he is. So they've got all kinds of options, 100 rotating weekly meals, high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, Transylvanian vampire friendly, all kinds of meals.
No, not that one.
That's with no garlic. That's for our friends in Romania and parts east.
Let's worry about the domestic United States.
Plus, the new Muscle Pro collection supports strength and recovery if you're getting back into a workout routine from, say, being, I don't know, laying in a coffin for hundreds of years and you've gotten quite out of shape and you need the Muscle Pro collection from Factor. But all you got to, you know, if you lay in the same position 200 or 300 years, you're going to have some atrophy.
Once again, they have a lot of great packages, a lot of great meals. I personally, every time I choose the teriyaki salmon, a personal favorite here in the house.
But, you know, you just eat salmon. You're a salmon maniac. How can you eat salmon 24 hours a day? I like the filet with the creamy Parmesan shrimp, which you can dip the filet around in the creamy Parmesan and it's just swell.
I'll put my teriyaki salmon up against your wimpy little filet any day of the week, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you what. See, that's the thing. That Danhausen can't have either one of those because they got garlic in them. He'll melt before your very eyes.
Well, hold on. That's an interesting question.
The Mediterranean diet may work for him.
Does Danhausen have the attributes, the qualities of a typical vampire? Where garlic would affect him like a vampire?
Well, he's got the cape and the pale face. The pale face should be a sign of vampirism in the blood. Possibly he's just a ghoul. Well, folks, I tell you what, and nevertheless, if you like goulash, folks, head to factormeals.com/JCE50 off and use the code JCE50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Folks, that's valid for new customers only with qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase, but factormeals.com/JCE50 off. That's your code to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year, regardless of whether it's for a boy or for a ghoul. 10'2", eyes of glue, looks like something from a zoo. Has anybody seen my ghoul?
Once again, a great deal for Factor Meals. Jim, one last time, that promo code.
JCE50 off.
Factormeals.com/JCE50 off.
It's positively ghoulish.
Hey, Jim, I swear to God, I've seen this actor on 3 different episodes of The Rifleman in the last week and a half. You know the guy with the goofy eyes? Tall, looks kind of like Goofy from the cartoon.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on now.
He's on the Mark Twain episode right now, but yesterday or the day before.
Goofy eyes. Now, you're not talking Jack Elam. You're talking about the tall, skinny guy with the weak chin also.
Yeah, he was in the Mark Twain episode is on now, and yesterday was the one where Lucas's old friends from the theater show up and they're playing chess, but they want to kill each other. I've seen this guy on multiple episodes in the last week. Different character every time.
Are you upset that he got so much work when he was young?
No, he's great. He's
old now.
He can't be alive now.
Well, what you're just going to kill him with no fucking thought? What think of if his family is listening right now? It's the first time they've heard about it.
The Rifleman Mark Twain. What is this guy's name? I've seen him in so many episodes just recently. This is from 1961. This is interesting stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Jack Elam.
That is 65 years ago.
Jack Elam.
Yeah, so it was Jack Elam.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't look like Goofy. He had a wide face. Goofy had a tall, sloping face.
Well, the way his body was
I
built.
thought you were talking about somebody like Kay Cuter.
No. I've seen this guy on multiple episodes the last week. And I've said that multiple times. Let's go back to the multiple WWE Raw segments we still have remaining here on the show.
Well, there was one thing I want to comment on this for a minute, just to not let it go by. Rhea Ripley. They have lost the plot on how to present her and what people want to see from her and what makes her different. They got Jackie Redmond out there. By the way, I did like the see-through top she was wearing. Redmond, that is. But she introduces Rhea to talk about the Elimination Chamber, but she comes out with EO and does the promo. Losing the tag team championship was, it was a big deal to her, right? EO's her best friend, and she hugged EO and thanked her as the thank you for pulling me out of a dark situation. And then EO turned into a grinning 6-year-old, hopping up and down, and then speaking gibberish and grinning, telling Rhea to win the title. And Rhea said, I'm going to do it for you, EO. I'm going to see Jade at WrestleMania. Again, they make EO Sky act like she's fucking mentally 6 years old. The literal grinning and hopping and down and just gibberish speaking. Rhea Ripley's out there saying, I was in a dark place. You pulled me out of it. The fuck? People want to see Rhea Ripley come out, put that big foot in the air and fucking stomp and beat the shit out of the other girls and be the eliminator or the eradicator or the fornicator, whatever the fucker goddamn phrase is. Instead of being out there hugging this little child and being all teary, and it's like they were having a fucking slumber party in the 60s on a comedy show. Am I taking this too personally?
Well, she's your favorite, so I don't think so.
But I mean, is that the way to present Rhea Ripley?
Well, again, I think we're about to hopefully get a sea change. That's why they're doing this. They broke up the tag team, and now this. I don't know if she's going to turn heel. I'm not saying that. But
well, yeah, I think they're going to hopefully put the fucking belt on her. But even if they don't, she's back in the title picture as a single. But nevertheless, she doesn't have to bring Io out there and fucking fawn all over. And I'd like to wish Io Sky, my former partner, all the best in her future fucking endeavors. And anyway, just this simpering, fucking soft, emotional horse shit on my wrestling. They need to give Rhea Ripley some kind of big fucking stick to just come out and just beat the shit out of people with. To rehabilitate her for having to team up with that fall child, that small child since last fall. And then they beat Dominic for the Intercontinental title with Penta. And it was a long match. I like Dominic. I've seen all the Penta that I want to see because I've seen everything he can do. I had just written down that I wish they would get Dominic in some interesting singles programs again with a good old baby face. And then they beat him. But they beat him because Finn stopped JD from interfering because he said he was going to do it by himself. Let him do it by himself. So Finn is continuing his babyface turn because he's found honor. And Penta gave the Destroyer to Dominic 1, 2, 3 and new champion. Well, shit is what I wrote. Well, shit. That's what Aunt Lola would have said. Well, shit. What'd you say?
I said, let's go to the main event, the segment after this match.
All righty then. I'm telling you what, if you need two guys to talk them in the building and get a fucking match over, I think they found the two. This is Roman Reigns and CM Punk is a great combination. I have not particularly been electrified. I think I've told you, Brian, by anything Roman Reigns really done since the Bloodline thing, because the Bloodline was interesting. Roman's kind of, to me without it, but now he's got him a little edge again. He's a different kind of promo than Punk. Punk can go into more detail in the ways that he can tear you up verbally, but Roman shit, because of his attitude and his delivery, he can say fewer words and still get to the same bone. Do you see what I'm saying?
I guess so.
At first, with Roman, he milked it like he usually does. He's walking around the ring, acknowledge me. And that's all he gets to say before Punk interrupts him. But he comes out grinning and shaking hands and taking his time. And the longer he's doing that, and he's looking up at Punk, or at Roman, the more that he does that, he can tell it's getting under Roman's skin, and you can tell it's getting under Roman's skin because he's portraying that in a subtle way. And he's staring a hole through Punk, and the fans are chanting for Punk now. They chanted OTC for Roman. Now they're chanting for Punk. And Punk's like, why are you mean mugging me? He's taking a sarcastic tone to get under this fucking, in his mind, probably self-important fucking guy's skin. And Roman's the one that tells Punk, well, you're the one with the thin skin. And Punk said, well, great, I got bags under my eyes because for 7 weeks I got to carry your bullshit to WrestleMania. And they argued over who brought who to the dance. Because in Indianapolis, it was the Shield's debut. Punk said, I brought you to the dance. He said, no, you brought the other two. And they just, again, it's two guys that can talk and in different ways. And it's not as egregious as when recently the example is MJF and Adam Page, where one guy has to stand there just absorbing it and bearing up under it and suffering through it while the other guy just says every goddamn horrible thing for 5 minutes. This is a back and forth. This is a contest, if not an argument. You can't call it an argument because they're not, just jumping in and interrupting each other over and over and yelling, but they're having a contest with each other verbally, back and forth. It feels more natural that they're really saying these things that they really mean rather than having memorized some kind of dramatic script. And Roman kept calling him, "Oh, Phil, we brought you back to entertain the 40-year-old virgins living with mom and dad. Maybe sell a few t-shirts, maybe draw a house in Chicago, but being champion, that's too much responsibility for you." He's just belittling a guy that normally doesn't get belittled verbally. But he said, "We can't trust you. You're a liar. You're not happy. You're not smiling. Whatever the fuck. We'll put you on a Cena retirement tour and send you to NXT to train guys that I can smash." And then Roman tried to walk off from him, but Punk caught him. He's like, you got Samoan goblins in your pocket? You got no shield. You got no bloodline. You're chasing me. This is my show. I run things here. You can't get things done by yourself. And hate or love me, you won't disrespect me. Retire me? You went from getting beat to getting buried. And then he somehow worked it in. When I bury you, you won't be alone anymore. I'm going to bury you next to your father. And he dropped the mic on him and walked off and left Roman standing there just, and it was so quick. It was like, what the fuck did he say? And he's gone. But the way they worked it was perfect. Then Roman didn't have the chance to grab him and then was trying to fight whether he was going to lose it or not. So anyway, it's a personal issue. Imagine that.
Yeah, and they have a dynamic with each other. It's good. I personally think it's ridiculous there weren't agents in between them. Because also beyond the logic of these guys not just punching each other in the face because there are agents there, it makes it look bigger and better and more heated as opposed to they get right in each other's face and say the worst thing they could think of and then take a step back. And then the other guy gets, I don't like that. And I don't think it's necessary.
And I agree with you there. And again, the problem is that we've just been conditioned that this is the way it's going to happen. But yes, imagine if that had been Austin and Brett or somebody arguing with each other, who would have Slaughter and those guys would have been in there trying to just be background fodder, trying to calm it down without getting in the way of what anybody was saying or doing, but acting like they were trying to. But we've lost that, element of wrestling along with everything else.
We see them run out for other things. Just get every agent / producer, whatever they are, who used to be a wrestler out there to stand in between them and act as agents of the company. It makes it better. As opposed to, is it a debate battle? What exactly is it? No one touches anybody. With that said, CM Punk was really good here. Roman Reigns, at first I thought he was getting too into the actory Roman Reigns fake bullshit way of talking, but he kind of got out of that. And it's a great dynamic, and you want to see a promo battle, either in different segments on the same show or one-on-one, but I'd be okay with having them battle like this until WrestleMania, but you need people in between them. It can't just be face-to-face confrontation without any fisticuffs, without anything. Just, I will let you leave now.
No, they're done with the face-to-face without any repercussion. After Punk said he was going to bury Roman next to Sika, then now shit's on, as Gary Hart would have said. Shit's on, brother. So they won't be doing that again, or they better not. But yeah, I mean, that's what you pointed out is what we've lost about wrestling, even from the company that used to do the same exact thing we've just talked about. They don't do anymore. send guys out there to be. Remember the confrontation between Tyson and Austin, right? It was like you were seeing one of these things at a UFC event get out of hand. And they have lost that. But if they could, when they have guys that can deliver like this verbally, if they would provide the proper feel and atmosphere, it would be wonderful.
The proper feel as opposed to CM Punk?
Well, you know what, the proper feel, like a Keith Richards feel is what I'm trying to say.
I got you.
The feel.
Or like a Charlie Watts feel. Yeah, that was raw.
Well, Brian, let's cross the street now and see what they had to say for themselves over at AEW this past week, which was the Dynamite for March the 4th, Wednesday night. They were at El Paso. As I walked down the streets of El Paso, I saw several thousand weirdly dressed wrestling fans. They had a decent house, it looked like. Or have they figured out a way to CGI these fans?
I thought it looked decent, and again, a hot crowd for AEW. A crowd that's really, as I said last time, they're doing a better job now of making their fans happy than they have in a very long time.
They must have had a Guerrero on the card. You can't run El Paso without a member of the Guerrero family. It's sacrilegious. But anyway, they opened up with the world title match with Kevin Knight and MJF. And I know they had explained in the challenge and the blah, 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 but I would have had the match, but I don't know why they made it for the title right in front of the pay-per-view, even to where the announcers, while they're showing the graphic for the pay-per-view, is a world title, MJF and Page. That says if MJF retains here, which everybody knew he was going to, but the idea was, to me, when I heard the match was announced, was to give MJF a good, solid win over a credible opponent going into defending the world title on the pay-per-view, right? This is not revolutionary wrestling logic.
Right.
And if I had been agenting or producing or booking or whatever term the match, I would have said, MJF, 10 minutes bell to bell, have a competitive match, but don't go crazy. You're the champion going into the pay-per-view. Make him look good, and then don't cheat to beat him, but cheat right before you beat him. Maybe as he's got his momentum on the comeback, stick a thumb in the eye on a fucking over the referee's shoulder and then hit your finish. And you had to cheat a little bit, but you come out strong to defend the title on the pay-per-view. And Kevin Knight still had an excellent match with you. He's a fine upper middle card young babyface on the upswing. And instead, and I know this was MJF's match to lay out, you could tell that, but it wasn't. I wrote that 17 minutes before all the falderall afterwards. You can't just have a goddamn match like I just described over 17 minutes. He had to do, and this was probably Kevin Knight's best match in AEW. And I like him and I like the look of him. That's why I actually sat down and watched this and wrote down things to say about it. Kevin Knight looks good. He's in shape. He's got appeal. He's got charisma, like his outfit. I don't think he's going to grow as a single because he's saddled with a 10-year-old girl from a Canadian girls' school as a tag team partner. And all the goofiness that he's in the middle of this group that has belts and there's more belts and a blah, blah, blah. But nevertheless, you can do something with this guy and he can obviously follow direction. They actually opened up with wrestling. And guess what? The heel got out wrestled by the babyface. They traded arm drags and Kevin Knight gave him 3 arm drags. And multiple shoulder tackles. The babyface was out wrestling the heel. There was one time where MJF was selling and Kevin Knight was going to go to the top and miss the splash for MJF to take over. But Kevin Knight took too much time going to the top. And I know somebody's going to say, well, that's because he's going to miss it. Exactly. And it makes it look like the babyface's fault. He took too much time. He wasn't fucking thinking. It would have been better if he'd have gone right up there and fucking MJF got out in the nick of time. Then he made every effort to do it right, the babyface, but the heel just barely escaped. You can tell guys what to do, but not exactly what their timing is or how to do it on the fly. Again, every time that MJF would heel him and stop him, he'd get some heat. He'd give Kevin Knight a hope spot. But MJF would also take his time and heal the fans too. And now, there was one point, I just criticized Kevin Knight. I'll criticize MJF. Kevin Knight came out with a big clothesline, and MJF got leveled and sold it like he was dead. And Kevin Knight was kind of starting to get up, but he wasn't making a lot of progress. But here's the thing. They both got up at the same time. If the heel is not moving, he should be selling. He should be disoriented, but moving, even crawling away, trying to reach for the rope to get up. Because if the heel is down selling motionless while the babyface is starting to get up, there's not as much tension. If the heel's dead, the fans feel like the babyface has more time. There's less urgency. So, boom, when he leveled him like that, and now the babyface has an opening, the heel can create space, get to the other side of the ring, but get up on his feet and fucking dust himself off and goddamn gather himself and start stalking back before you know that the babyface is going to actually make it back up to his feet. Does that make any sense, Brian?
It makes a lot of sense.
Well, good. Because I needed a sip of water. So anyway, then Kevin Knight got a couple of his big dives in, but MJF was trying to roll out of the way and stop him. And at about 10 minutes in, I wrote, okay, should be about time to go. Let's go. We've had enough. Well, then MJF stopped him, gave him a big move, 2 count. Both of them sold forever. I'm like, beat him, MJF. Kevin Knight got a number of false finishes and 2 counts and another dive, and they were both down on the floor, and they went to the break. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, it's still not a rotten match, but, you know, they need to go. And when they came back, they were fighting on the floor, and Kevin Knight was in charge. He went up to the top, and MJF crotched him and went for a superplex, and Kevin Knight hung MJF in the tree of woe and did the coast-to-coast drop kick. And then Kevin Knight goes to the top again, and here's where they shit the bed. MJF is on his back, and Kevin Knight's going to the top rope, so the referee is standing there. And MJF reached out with 1 foot and like kicked the referee in the thigh, and the referee spun around in an exaggerated way and flew into the ropes, turning his back on everything and selling his shoulder. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like he was goddamn hit with a invisible fucking car. And then Kevin Knight hit the splash, and while the referee was overselling, he came in, and if the guy's supposed to be hurt and counting slow, he did the most exaggerated, energetic Tommy Young bounce count 1, and then fucking sold like he was dead, and then bounced off the mat again 2 with all his vim and vigor in the world and sold like he was dead. And MJF kicked out. So he had gotten a visual pin on the world champion because of an obviously phony looking referee bump. And then the way that the referee counted that, I've never seen. Do you see what I was saying? That he was coming back to life with an over exaggerated animated count and then selling in between.
And then he would die again. Yeah.
Like he'd die in between. And,
He obviously took some hell of a beating that we can't see.
or some hell of a drug that I'd like to have some of. And then Kevin Knight went to the top again and went for the splash, but MJF raised his knees and hit the heat seeker 1, 2, 3. That was actually a nice finish if they'd eliminated the referee horse shit. If a few minutes before that or a short time before that, when Kevin Knight had gone to the top, instead of MJF kicking the leg of the referee, raised the legs, boom, heat seeker, boom. The guy just done the coast-to-coast drop kick. That was the best looking thing he's going to do all night. The referee thing just brought it down. But they started to get into which one are we pushing territory, but they didn't. It was still a very good match until the fake looking, horrible acting by the referee, killed that. But it was a bit much for Kevin Knight because he had the world champion pinned 10 days before the world title match on a pay-per-view with somebody else. This finish is the match you have if the rematch between these two is on the pay-per-view. And you bring it back with 2 referees or special referee, or the referee was the problem the first time as to why the babyface didn't win. So we will rectify that in this rematch. But that's not the kind of match you're supposed to have when you're prepping your world champion to wrestle somebody else. Whoever figured this finish for these two at this particular moment is a crazy person. But before we talk about how much worse it's about to get, Brian, what'd you think of the match?
I was going to say, you're doing all this complaining about, what the next thing is. It's going to be him and Speedball, it seems. I mean, that is pretty apparent.
Well, no, I mean, just the next thing they did. I don't know if that's the next match he's going to have.
I think they're going to have MJF against Speedball. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, and even if they do, that will be effluvia for another day. But what they continue to do here, what they basically did was, as soon as MJF wins, he shit cans the referee, but Adam Page appears in the entranceway. So while MJF is standing staring at Page, Spitball comes in, hits MJF with one of those fucking goofy kicks, and he bumped to the floor and sold like, oh my God, I'm done. So now the champion is bumping for the 5th grader that used to get picked on in gym class. And not only did it take him 17 minutes to beat the other guy, but then this fucking wimp comes in and just knocks him out. But before anybody thinks that I'm upset about how they're treating MJF, when we get to it, I'm going to think they're just as crazy for the way what they've done to Adam Page in this show, and when he's going to be the challenger for the world title.
And again, he came out here with his 6-man tag title on for his confrontation from the runway with MJF. Good match. Probably went too long. I agree with you. I don't know why Kevin Knight would have gone to the top rope the second time after the first one. You kind of knew MJF would get his legs up, and he did. And not looking forward to him against Speedball, which will be probably the most enjoyable Speedball match we see. But it's MJF.
I don't think that's possible.
It's MJF making this little guy look like a champion.
I think they just did this because somebody said, well, shoot, old Mike Bailey's going to get his feelings hurt if he doesn't get out there and do something. I can't imagine MJF would write and produce his own movie just to take time off to get away from working with this little fucking douche. But nevertheless, Brian,
I want to know how good he really is as a karate practitioner. I put him in there with MVP, who we know is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Now, there's no reason to get racial about it.
I'm not getting racial. That is his rank, I believe, from the last I heard. I'd like to see what happens there. You know what I mean? Put him in, make it like UFC, like Mike Bailey versus every tough guy you could think of, and let's see what happens.
Whatever. We need Ron Slinker. Remember the the demolition expert, Ron Slinker. Well, he was the first one I ever saw do a live in-person karate demonstration.
He had the cheapest look Like, I don't care how good at karate he was. He did not look like a wrestler. There was no way.
He wasn't that good at karate either. I got news for you. But I may be the last living person that watched Ron Slinker do a karate demonstration. Well, you know, Brian, the thing is they got to quit these bad habits they got over there. They got bad habits with the way that they book their finishes, the way they treat their champion, the way they constructify their big main event matches for paper. They got bad habits all the way around. Bad habits in the ring, bad habits out of the ring. We've got to do something this year about breaking these bad habits, Brian. People have bad habits in wrestling and in business, and they got personal bad habits. You know, one of the bad, I got something right here. Listen, here, this is something like heavy.
Yeah.
Something heavy I'm fixed to lay on you folks. Our friends over at Fume. They're at Fume. You got to put see, it's pronounced, it's spelled FUM. F-U-M. But you got to put the umlaut, the little drava there over the U, and it becomes Fume. And what they're doing is they're trying to help people break the bad habits. You want to quit smoking. You want to quit vaping. If you want to do these things, part of it is the hand-to-mouth motion, the oral fixation. And you gotta break this. So what Fume has come up with is a flavored air fidget device that gives your hand and your mouth something to do. You can hold one end of this in your hand and you can stick the other end in your mouth. And there you go. But you know what you're doing, Brian? You are not ingestifying into your body bad chemicals like nicotine and propofine and salmonella and all the things that are in the smoking and vaping materials that you've seen the studies where they have all the lists of all these chemicals that you can't even pronounce.
I don't know if salmonella is one of them. It's a serious thing to worry about, but not in this case.
Well, it can kill you. But I'll tell you what you're doing if you're ingesting. Why are you laughing about people
It certainly
dying?
can. It has nothing to do with any of this, though. Is my point. It can't kill you.
Well, you want to keep it away. That's what I'm trying to tell people how to do is keep yourself away from the various forms of things that can kill you, like the nicotine and the propofine and the propofol and the salmonella and all these other things. If you're vaping and you're smoking and you're burning things and huffing them, whatever you're doing. And here's another thing I've seen on the news. Don't just sniff glue, and some of the children spray some type of air fresheners in their fucking faces. And not to mention licking the backs of frogs. None of these things
don't do any
are
of these
healthy,
things.
ladies.
Don't do any of these things, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that's not a good thing to do. What you do is you go to Fume. And you get their flavored air fidget device, which comes with a base. That's with a heavy part. It's magnetic. Boom. It sits right there. A base. A little of it, and also this thing it's got some weight to it. It's well put together, and it charges your gimmick as well as being magnetic. So it sits there and it spins around without falling off. So you can play with that too, and play with yourself in your office there with that instead of smoking and vaping and things. But the point is, what goes into this device is the flavored air cartridges. They don't have salmonella and nicotine flavored air. No, they have sparkling grapefruit, crisp mint, spearmint, raspberry, peach blush, mango. Don't know if I'm sold on the maple pepper yet, but we'll get back to that. But the point is, you stick those in this and then stick this in your mouth and suck on it. And you're not poisoning yourself. You've got air with flavor. What can be more fucking unoffensive than that?
Who doesn't want flavored air?
That's right. And we don't have enough of that in the world because now the flavors that are being belched out into our fucking just general population air all have like dead rats and rotting garbage and stench from people's bad habits. So we gotta package our air now like some kind of goddamn futuristic Logan's Run fucking Fume our people.
Fume
Our people. It's a Soil and Green situation, folks. Hoard now your cartridges of flavored air that you can breathe when all the shit hits the fan. Because it's going to blow all that stinky air back at you. But anyway, they've already helped over 700,000 people take steps toward better habits, and now it is your turn to join our friends at Fume. And when you grab a Journey pack, you're going to get a free gift just for using my code JCE. So you go to try Fume. That's TRY. It sounded like a cat being disemboweled. TRYFUM.com. Try Fume.com and use the code JCE to claim your free gift when you get the Journey pack that will take you on your journey for the favorite flavors that you've got, when you're going to just suck on these. It's going to be incredible. The crisp mint is stronger. The raspberry is tangy and on the sweeter end. As these are some of the comments from the over 700,000 people that have imbibed this product, and
these are some of the comments.
Their life.
700,000 comments. We picked these two here for you.
Well, those are just representative of the 700,000.
That's right. For those of you who need to change your bad habits, update your old habits, whatever it may be, Fume may be for you.
If you've got a problem with sticking things in your mouth and sucking on them and you want to quit, then suck on this.
Jim, I understand we have a great deal and a promo code for the listeners for Fume.
Yes, it's JCE is the promo code over at tryfume.com, and you'll get a free gift with your flavored air.
Well, thank you very much. Once again, tryfume.com, promo code JCE. But Jim,
yes, we should get back to the show.
I was going to say, suck on this. We got more Dynamite to go.
Yeah. Oh God, there's a habit I'd like to break. I broke the habit that I don't have of not watching any Pockets matches. I put a double negative in there, but the next match was Pockets and Darby Allin against Gabe Kidd and Chuck Connors. And I obviously skipped this except for the end. Apparently there was a debut here. We'll get to that in a second. But remember when we thought Darby Allin, they might make him the next world champion as he's over as a babyface, and they like his weirdness and public stupidity. I don't know what, at this point, what they like. Maybe that's because this was a while back when he was that over, and now he's teaming up with the mascot. But now he's partners with the mascot, and he's fighting two indie guys that we still don't really know what the fuck their purpose is. And they started with a 4-way on the floor, and they broke a table, and then the referee rang the bell, so that I skipped the match. But the baby faces won, and then, Brian, this is what I was surprised about. A guy jumps in the ring and starts beating up the baby faces with his cane, and I wouldn't have known who it was, but the announcers told me, thankfully. David Finlay, Fit Finlay's son. And he comes in and beats up the baby faces with his cane. And so they debuted, not only did they debut Fit Finlay's son as another faction with some random middle card heels, but he's not in the WWE. And one would think if he certainly they looked at him. Why would they turn down the son of Fit Finley if he had anything?
Well, he's been in New Japan, and in New Japan he was aligned with Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors, I believe, and all three of them have now signed with AEW.
Well, but I'll ask the question I asked that you answered a different one here in a second, but I'll ask this question now.
I don't know why they have not signed him, or I assume they've looked at him because they look at everyone, but I don't know.
Well, but also, again, who gives a shit what they did in Japan? When somebody came into the fucking Carolinas, did Dusty say, oh, because you guys were tag team partners in Dallas? Well, you've got to be together, even though I'd rather do something else with you. Well, I don't understand why they think that all but the smallest audience knows what they've done. And New Japan was on television, on Access or whatever, a few years back. Did they ever crack 100,000 views or the ratings that were reported? It wasn't. There's more people watching AEW by far, by multiple times, than watched New Japan on TV or are watching New Japan right now from the United States. So why doesn't Tony just, if he sees a talent that he likes, bring it in and do his own shit? Does that make sense?
Because Tony's a fan for what he has seen of them in Japan, and he wants to keep that together. He doesn't look at it the way you do, or I would, or he should. Where here's
Does that mean that every director that makes a movie, because, well, I love the movie that these particular actors did, so I'm going to hire the entire crew to make my movie too? Or do you
that's the story of AEW.
That's how movie.
That's the entire story of AEW. Tony saw all these guys' movies and said, I want to be the producer of this movie.
But it's then you've got a fucking dramatic action comedy musical. So anyway, well, again,
this may be Tony's La La Land. I don't know what to tell you.
If young Mr. Finley had the qualifications, one would have thought that he would be in that program. Or was he in the program and they didn't keep him in the program? Who's with the program here? I don't know.
Again, his father had a history of working internationally, Germany, Japan, before he ever got to the States. I don't know if he's trying to follow his father's footsteps and take a weird
he's
journey.
Certainly working in another fucking country right now if he's in AEW. He's working in the fucking land of La.
I haven't seen too much of him, and he was in a suit, which was nice to see, someone wearing a suit. But he had a good look. You know, I hate that he's going to be involved with Pockets or whatever they're doing here, but I was intrigued enough by him, much more than Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd. Did you see him come out there like crawling? He was like crawling out of the entranceway like, I don't know, a demon trying to crawl out of hell. I don't know what he was going for there.
No, actually,
it looks silly.
They sent Pockets out first, and by then I wasn't paying any attention.
Oh, next time Gabe Kidd has a match, watch his entrance, see if he crawls out again. But it was, I was laughing.
And ladies and gentlemen, his opponent crawling down the aisle. All righty, moving along. Jamie Hayter and Alex Mountbatten Windsor fought the Inspiration, who are two twin blonde girls with accents trying to act funny. And they did lots of dancing, and I haven't heard such fucking silence since Bruno got beat in the Garden in 71. People just sitting on their hands. What? So that was that.
They used to be, they were like a tag team in WWE. I think we saw some of their stuff years ago. They were a tag team there, and then they got released, I believe. And then they were in TNA, who used them as a top women's tag team for whatever that's worth, based on their WWE TV time, and Tony brought them in and squashed them in 2 minutes. Tony brought them in and just squashed them right away.
Well, but at the same point, did anybody know who the fuck they were? Because the response was absolutely non-existent. It wasn't like, oh, look, here's these stars that we've seen, and then boom, they beat them. It was like, ready.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, AEW, it could be that, or it could be AEW fans rejecting them. I don't know how much of it's their knowledge of them. It's a double-edged sword. If they know of them from their previous work, they may hate them. So I don't know.
You know what? They ought to come up with sometime, because I guess these girls, they look like twins. I know they got to be sisters. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
They're not related at all, I don't believe.
Well, they look identical. Maybe that's the problem. You can't tell one from another. But if the Bellas should have done this. They should try sometime, some set of twin girls should try to get fucking signed by 2 different companies. And if they worked it right, then they could fucking actually goddamn get paid 4 times. Think about this, because they could just keep showing up in different places to fucking work. Just don't tell anybody there's 2 of them.
It's a fascinating idea you have here.
Yeah. And they can just go around collecting calls. We'll sign this one. Oh, I got that one over there. And then they just keep showing up in different places. You're not sure which one's which. There's something there.
Does it help or hurt matters if it's triplets?
Oh, then you're cleaning up.
Are you, or do you have too much inventory?
No, because it's like when Nick Goulas had a mass team over, the interns or the Mighty Yankees or whatever. He would send the real ones to the town with the best advance, and he'd send job guys with fucking hoods to the other town or 2. Anyway.
Hey, before we move on, just real quick, because for whatever reason, this has popped up and a bunch of people keep asking us, so I'm going to ask you so they'll stop. What is the Kentucky meat shower?
Oh, God damn it. I'm trying to remember the detail. Google it and I will introduce it. There was a period of time years ago in a certain location in Kentucky where inexplicably for some short period of time, meat, like just raw meat, fell from the sky over a certain area. I'm not making that up.
The Kentucky meat shower, according to Wikipedia, was an incident that occurred for a period of several minutes between 11 a.m. and 12 noon on March 3rd, 1876, where what appeared to be chunks of red meat fell from the sky in a 100 by 50 yard area near Olympia Springs in Bath County, Kentucky. There exist several explanations, from blood rain to vulture ejecta, as to how this occurred and what the meat was. Although the exact type of meat was never identified, various reports suggested it was beef, lamb, deer, bear, or horse. And that pretty much covers it, folks.
Yeah, well, see, you were looking for your red meats. Because they could tell that. See, in 1876, there was no DNA. And so they were looking for the red meats because, they could at least tell that by sight, except for poor old Ulysses Jones that was colorblind, who was the first one to spot it. But he just thought it was just chunks of shit. But anyway, it would be hard, one would assume, for even a number of vultures to have gotten onto a carcass and took enough of it into fucking air that it would rain meat noticeably over that large of a space on the ground to where people would pick up on it to the naked eye and see the goddamn, the obvious remains laying around. That'd have to be a lot of vultures that nobody saw. And that's the thing, is they don't go high enough that you would, they're not like, they were just regular fucking propeller vultures back then. They didn't have jet vultures. So these chunks of meat and they didn't have the DNA, as I mentioned, so they couldn't narrow it down, but nobody blew up in a fucking airplane in 1876. So it somewhat confounded people when the meat fell from the fucking sky.
All right, well, we will stay on top of the story for every concerned person who sent in a email about it, but back to Dynamite.
Well, there is about every 150 years or so, there is a goddamn, resurgence of interest. Anyway, what they did next on AEW is Adam Page beat some unknown guy in 10 seconds with his finish. And I at this point, I was like, my God, imagine that. They've actually done the right thing with the challenger to the world title at the pay-per-view in the main event. He's come out and beaten a fucking guy with his finish in 10 seconds and stands tall over him, as tall as Page can muster. And I said, that's what MJF needs is not a squash in 10 seconds, but he needs a squash in 4 or 5 minutes. He needs an old-fashioned Jerry Lawler squash, or fucking a cocky top heels, a Ray Stevens squash, where he'd spend more time working to people and being more entertaining and get himself over. And then he'd beat up the fucking guy. And that's what MJF needs more of on TV instead of, 17-minute title matches with middle card guys and blah, blah, blah. But there's more show to go, Brian. Before I said, well, at least they did the right thing with Page, but they couldn't leave that alone. He gets on the microphone and does another promo, and that never really helps his cause. It is a phony, boring, whatever. MJF comes out again, and he's cutting a promo. And as he's talking to fucking Page, Okada and Davis and Kyle jumped Page in the ring and start beating him up. But then there's 3 heels beating him up. But when Kevin Knight and Hong Kong Phooey come out, the 3 heels run from the 2 little baby faces. Yes, they've got chairs, but Jesus Christ, but this is all happening within seconds. And then Don Fallis and Lance Archer comes out, and MJF is completely gone. And we're in a different angle with the same fucking challenger to the world title. So then Don is cutting a promo to the 3 baby faces, Page and fucking dipshits. I shouldn't slander Kevin Knight. And he's challenging for 2 more titles. He wants their 6-man titles that they've got. But no, wait a minute. What he's saying is that those 3 guys want the 6-man tag titles that Page and Phooey and Knight have, but Kevin Knight and Hong Kong Phooey shouldn't be challenging for the 2 more titles that is in his group, because Kyle is the one kind of champion and fucking Okada's the other kind of champion. Davis is a fucking competitive eating champion. And Page wants the world to... What the fuck is going on here?
They want a 6-man tag title match, and they'll get one later today because, wouldn't you know it, they need a main event. This far into the show, they still have time. And
if I only had time.
And that's what that was setting up there, and MJF disappeared, like you said.
Yes, MJF was completely gone, and we have the guy that's challenging for the world heavyweight title that already has the 6-man tag title. Like, yeah, jack me, blow you. And then they're going to be challenged by these 3 guys, 2 of whom are already singles champions. So why the fuck would they want the 6-man tag title? What? But that's tonight. Where, you know what? I'm sure it was loaded with comedy material, but Moxley went almost 20 minutes with chia. And I no. So then we got to Brody King. And Brody King was in the ring telling Swerve that he's the most dangerous man in AEW. And he got in there, actually got on a microphone, sounded like he meant it, said, I'm the most dangerous man. Come on out here if you want to fight and prove it. Brody King is stepping up a bit. I have to give the fat tattooed man his credit where it's due. He sounded better. And then Nana comes out. Are you sure about this? Brody King, yes, I want him. Okay. Here's the real most dangerous man, Swerve Strickland. And they played the music, and Nana's waving, come on, come on. And I guess they had to do that until Swerve actually did legitimately get to the fucking ring. But it went so long that you could tell that he was not coming out from that direction, right?
You knew, and then, I mean, if you're watching from home, you knew also because of the way they shot Brody King to get the surprise shot of Swerve, but it went on for so long that you knew someone was not coming from that way. If I've watched wrestling at all, I know, turn around, there may be someone the other way.
As Dutch Mantel would say, it's the old misdirection play. So Swerve comes in the ring from behind and blast in some fashion, because they had the close-up on Brody, like you said, so you couldn't see them coming in and blow the surprise anyway. But boom, he suddenly gets hit, and there's Swerve. And Swerve has got this giant 10-foot fucking big old toe chain or logging chain or whatever, all wrapped up. And he's acting, and I use that term loosely, he's acting like he's just bashing it into Brody King's back, but he's obviously pulling it to the point where, why are you even doing that?
Yeah, it looked really bad.
Because now you've shit your own bed. Why just blast him and stomp on him? But then did you see the neck wrapping? Because the idea was that he then takes the chain and wraps it around Brody King's neck. And then somehow there, on the other end of it, there were handcuffs, and he cuffed it to the top rope. But then instead of hanging Brody over the top rope, he got out and drug Brody there where this was the most awkward hanging I've ever seen in wrestling. And the way that he ended up, Swerve was on the outside with the chain over the top rope. It was around Brody King's neck barely. You could see when he put it around, and Brody had just crawled over there. And Brody, the only way that Brody is being choked is because he's hanging down from the rope. If he had just raised his head, it would have relieved the pressure on his neck and prevented him from choking out. Is that the way you saw it?
I mean, what you're saying makes sense, sure.
But that's the way he had him. So did they walk through that ahead of time and decide this is the best way that we can illustrate that I'm choking this guy out in this awkward Rube Goldberg fucking whole contraption here? And then, so Brody's hanging himself. There's no tension on any of the chain except the tension around his neck to the top that he himself is putting on it. And Swerve cuts the promo to Brody's face as, I'm the most dangerous man, and fuck you. All he had to do was stand up.
What is he, like 6'8"?
Yes. He's literally leaning forward, stretching the fucking rope from the top rope to where it's around his neck as much as possible. If he just raised up, it would release pressure.
People like the concept of them and some of the big matches for people who are sickos and into that kind of stuff, but the creative is always weak. Whose house?
What? Did you expect me to say that?
No, that's how he ends his sentences, so I'm going to do it when I review his crappy segments. Whose house? Whose house? Dead silence.
All righty then. I'm sure that Thekla and Thunder Rosa for the women's title was just swell. Then Tommaso Ciampa came out. Okay, I'm interested in Ciampa. And he's doing a promo with Renee Moxley-Good, talking about Kyle and the TNT title is a good promo. He looks and speaks like a grown-up. And then the FTR music hits. And I'm like, what the fuck? And out comes FTR with Stokely in the chair. And Dax, who's taken to wearing glasses on camera, which makes him look like a slightly pudgy but studious fucking middle-aged soccer dad. What the fuck is that choice about? He said Dax comes up and hugs Ciampa. And I'm here to welcome an old friend. And he started kind of making an offer to join them, like, you got to come with the top guys. It's like an olive branch. An olive branch, from what? They've never interacted, I'm thinking. What is going on here?
NXT.
Well, exactly. Again, you can acknowledge history amongst people when it was memorable history. But this is from NXT from 10 years ago, is what they said.
It must be. Yeah, it must be.
Okay. Again, Tommaso said, I hated you 10 years ago and I hate you today. And he insulted Stokely and Dax got mad and they were a little shove. And then Tommaso slapped Dax. And then Dax said, okay, I'm not mad. See you Saturday on Collision. What the he can't do his own shit. Or you can't even, once you bring these guys into the same company, you can't do some history packages on one or the other that incidentally mentions their past and or talk about it for a few weeks before they just run up on each other and, well, fuck you from 10 years ago that many of these people did not see. Was NXT on television 10 years ago?
It may have been on WWE Network, and then, they had their big events, which were still streaming, but, they were big events. It made NXT popular with the crowd that became the AEW crowd.
That was a long way around your elbow to get to your wrist to say they weren't even on TV 10 years ago.
I don't think they were. I mean, I'm not saying it definitively, but I don't think they were. The Team DIY versus FTR was before FTR got to the main roster, I think. So, I don't think so.
All right, anyway. We're time for the main event, Brian. I know you've been waiting with bated breath. So this is, and it's all in the overrun. So anybody that, again, records the show, they're just, fuck it, unless they've done their due diligence. 6-man title, Davis, Kyle, and O'Boring against Paige and Kevin Knight and Fooey. And they started this with a sloppy 6-way on the floor. And I thought, well, and I actually wrote this down. I said, the only way that you could have worse booking on a single television program is if the baby faces lose the belts here. And in the end, MJF pulled Paige out to the floor and nailed him. And then the fucking heels double teamed Kevin Knight right in front of that useless Rick Knox motherfucker and beat him 1, 2, 3 and became the new champions. So,
they say that Tony Khan, and he's exhibited it, he doesn't think it hurts to lose. So oftentimes if he brings you in and beats you, that's a sign that he likes you and he's going to use you well. What does it say if he beats you twice on the same episode? At the beginning and the end of the same episode.
And I mean, let's go down the line here. So MJF, the world champion, takes almost 20 minutes to beat a potential filled, but right now mid-card babyface guy, Kevin Knight. And actually has to rely on, a number of flukes and et cetera, as we covered that, to do it. And then Paige comes out and gets a 10-second squash match, but then is drug into a goddamn undercard 6-man title match where he's on the losing team right before he challenges for the fucking world title at the pay-per-view. And the guy that gets beat in that match is the one that almost beat the guy that he's wrestling in the pay-per-view, who's the only one that has any goddamn potential on that whole team. We've seen the best of Paige, and it ain't been good, and it ain't ever going to get any better. And spitball is offensive to any goddamn legitimate wrestling fan just because of the phoniness and the stupidity of him. But Kevin Knight's got something, so he's the one that everybody's beating. They're beating him like a rented mule. Meanwhile, now you've got two of these fucking guys already have belts, the heels, Kyle and O'Boring, and now they've got more belts. What the Well, that's what I thought.
Well, big title change there to end Dynamite. New trios, tag team champions, Okada, Fletcher, and Davis. And everyone has belts. It defeats the purpose because it makes the other belts not seem as important when everyone just has some other belt, but I guess at least they got one of the belts off Paige before he's going for the other belt, so now the other belt could be the priority, not the previous belt. And that was Dynamite.
But, that's the thing is they're just, they're hitting people below the belt. Well, before we talk about the big pay-per-view coming up where the world champion that can hardly beat anybody faces the fucking challenger that really can't beat anybody either. What's going on in the world of the Arcadian Vanguard Network this week? That's
a great question. I forgot we were about to do that. Go through the archives or go through the shows. Listen to everything. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard, or on Twitter at Superpodcast. Of course, the wrestling news each and every day. Get your wrestling news for free. No opinion, no clickbait, no paywall. Just the wrestling news. The daily wrestling morning newscast at thewrestlingnews.com, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam. A look at the WWF 40 years ago in 1986. McAdamPod.com, wherever you find your favorite podcast. And of course, Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon, an interview with wrestling historian / archivist. I'm not exactly sure what the term would be for him. Richard Land. Hear that today. SUAWpod.com or Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon, wherever you find your favorite podcast. And of course, the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! Go through the archive. We got some of that on the mic. Go through the archive, 605pod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcast. I lose my voice a little bit more each time I do that, but
you're all the people now are saying, don't tease us with a good time, Brian.
Hey, that's not nice. That's not nice.
So, what are the big matches for this big revolutionary pay-per-view revolution that AEW is going to have imminently? Like in just a few days by the time the folks hear this.
Well, Jim, I have it here on Wikipedia. AEW Revolution, March 15th, 2026, Los Angeles, California, at the world-famous Crypto.com Arena. Here's the card.
What did that used to be to make it world famous? What was the Crypto.com array? Is that Los Angeles? Was that the Forum was in Inglewood. Is that the
It was
Staples Center?
It was previously the Staples Center.
Okay.
Let's X out of this. We'll go back to where we were. Jim, AEW Revolution, here is what is announced so far. To be announced for the pre-show, a Big Boom AJ match, but we're not there yet.
What the? Wait a minute now. Hold on. Let me stop you here just a second. Now, what was this? Been a year or so ago now that Big Boom and the other little Boomer and Boomer Esiason and the Bang Bang fucking Kid and all the people that eat donuts. I don't know what their deal is at Costco, but they were social media sensations and they got to guest star and do a dark match and then whatever the fuck on the pre-show. Are they still like mega social media stars getting them all this publicity, or is this now just a goddamn favor because they like the guy?
I don't know.
Do you see this guy anywhere else?
I personally don't. I haven't heard anything else about him. I don't know what he's doing, but it's not really my kind of scene. I will say his pre-show matches at least get the fans there into it, sometimes more than other things. So,
well, that's why I'm wondering is what else does this fucking guy do except Boom? And is he ongoingly doing Boom, or is he just still over because he used to do Boom? Well, somebody give us a send us a letter in on this.
Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
On here.
Yeah.
Jim, a trios match for the AEW World Trios Championship. The champions, the Callis family of Kazuchika Okada, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis, versus Mystico and Jet Speed.
Oh,
the
Christ.
Jet Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey.
So it's Los Angeles. I'm sure that there will be an audience that is there for Mystico. Why stick him in this fucking mess? Why not give Mystico fucking either his own opponent that he wants to bring or a suitable guy on the roster and give him 10 or 12 minutes to go out there and show everybody that he's there in person, and it's Mystico.
The two smallest guys on the show probably are Mystico and Speedball Bailey, and they're against the three tallest guys in the company, Okada, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis.
And again, that's obviously, I wish nothing for Okada except a quick trip back home and retirement, because he's the shits and he doesn't care and he doesn't try. And it's the most ridiculous thing that he's making any kind of money. Everybody else on the roster ought to mutiny. And Davis is good. We were hoping for him and his partner. But if they're wanting to, and Kyle's already got a singles championship, why is he in this 6-man bullshit? If you want to make him a top guy. And again, is everyone blind, deaf, and dumb that wants to employ Mike Bailey? I think so. So this is just, is that the pre-show?
I don't know if that's a pre-show. It's one of the matches for the main show, I believe. But
oh, Christ.
We'll find out. Jim, for the AEW Women's World Championship, 2 out of 3 falls. Tekla.
Oh, no.
Tekla, the champion, versus Chris Statlander.
Oh, Christ on a cracker. Can they just agree to split the first 2 falls in the locker room and just give us the third one in front of the people?
Come on, you're not intrigued? You don't want to see 2 out of 3 falls Statlander versus Tekla? What could that be?
Yeah, what can it be?
What can
it be now? What can it be on my TV screen? I don't understand. They're being so mean.
Do you think Statlander will regain the championship?
I would hope so. But I don't know.
Jim, Brody King versus Swerve Strickland.
Well, they've obviously they've got a good baby face in Brody King. And Swerve has just turned heel. I would think it would, see, because these things don't follow the normal patterns of things to where these people should be individually now. I wouldn't want to beat Brody King right now because he's still on the way up, except then Swerve looks like a complete fucking idiot if he just turns heel and loses his first time. So Swerve has to win. But normally I'd say I hope they protect Brody, but then that may mean that they bring a bazooka out and fucking shoot Swerve in the head. So who knows?
Or Omega.
But I would.
What if Omega cost Swerve the match?
What? No, because still he can't just turn heel and do this heinous thing to this fucking guy and then just lose the first one at this point because with where they all are now.
Well, Jim, another match.
Anyway.
Andrade El Idolo versus Bandito. My prediction? I'm being serious. It'll probably be the best match on the show.
You think with Bandito and Andale Arriba, what did they call him the other day when they messed up his fucking name?
Andrade.
Andrade. Yeah, an Andrade. Well, I mean, that goes back to my old comment to Flair that time on the Clash with him and Luger that the rest of it stunk. I say you stole the show, but it was petty theft. Is this really going to be an accomplishment? But I'm annoyed by Bandito's lack of basics, rotten timing, and goofy fucking suplex and other goofy moves that people have to just ridiculously cooperate for. But maybe Andre will just beat him up.
All right, Jim. Well, the next match is a no time limit match for the Continental Championship.
Jesus Christ, don't give these people any more encouragement. Give them a time limit, for fuck's sake.
The champion, Jon Moxley, versus Konosuke Takeshita.
Oh, boy. Well,
does he have to go over? Does Takeshita have to go over here?
Well, but here's the thing. It's going to put Moxley in his, wet dream land already because he's going to be against a Japanese guy and he can make it strong style and be Japanese and do all the stuff that nobody sells and kick people in the fucking throat and all that shit. Moxley is way too garbage of a worker to showcase Takeshita's strengths as an agile, athletic, fairly well-versed technical in-ring performer that has, youth and oomph to him instead of this, whatever the fuck this thing Moxley has to him. So, I mean, Moxley's matches are normally bad, but at least with guys who English is a first language and they learned to work in America and potentially know that Moxley is the shits and they're going to try to compensate for it, they can come out better than I believe our boy Take is going to do everything that Moxley wants him to. So this is going to be a shitty match. And I would love to see Moxley put him over, but who knows? Is he back to the Moxley that never loses, or is he the Moxley from a few months ago? Just everybody and their brother was beating him. Who knows with this fucking clown?
All right, we shall see. Will it be Rocky 2 or Rocky 4? Jim, for the Tag Team Championship, the champions FTR, Cash and Dax with Stokely, versus the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick, and their receding hairlines.
And boy, I didn't even mention a pre-tape that was on the show that they were sitting in a boardroom and the Jackson boys, they're trying to act mad and like, to come over this desk right now and
do what? And do what? That was what I said when I watched that. Yeah.
And do what? I frightened more people in a fucking room for real when I told Kevin Dunn the same thing. And I was already standing up and they're fucking acting like this goddamn. I mean, who knows again? It's whatever that the little buckaroos think will give them the most favored outlook from the fans. Do they want to be selfless and put these guys over? Or do they want to be egomaniacs and protect their legacy as 18-time Dave Meltzer Fantasy of the Year, whatever? But does anybody give a shit at this point? At least at one time, it was a bit of a big deal a match between these two teams and who would win. And now they're just doing it because nobody gives a shit what the Buckaroos are doing. They're playing with their friends, so now they can have a feature match. And who knows if they want the tag team titles, because then that would put...
They do.
More... Well, wouldn't that put more attention on them that nobody gives a shit about them? If they were also the tag team champions and
no, I think
people still continue to not give a shit about them?
I think they have a reality distortion field where they pretend like what's happening isn't happening. I mean, again, next to Kenny Omega, they've won Dave Meltzer Fantasy of the Year, as you put it, more times than anyone. So there's a segment of the crowd that they want to listen to that doesn't think their shit stinks, and then everyone else has seen this over and over and over again. And everything they do outside of the ring, won't even get into their matches and the layouts and everything that has to happen because they can't just wrestle a tag team match. Has to be their referee who knows, stand over there and do nothing because we're going to ignore every rule of tag team wrestling because we have to, otherwise we can't do all the things that pop us. But I just don't think it's really... It doesn't seem to work. But the outside of the ring stuff, the skits, anything they do in the back, anything they do talking, anytime Matt Jackson is on a mic, it comes across as cringy and bad. And the problem is they're surrounded by people who actually back up their bad instincts. I mean, you saw Brandon Cutler in that scene. No reason he has a job as these guys. But it's always been just like really lame shit. Like even when all the indie fans 10 years ago were going crazy over the Bucks and their social media content, it was never good. It was always just lame. And now it's even lamer.
I tried a time or two to watch. Why are people watching this YouTube channel show, Being the Elite or whatever? And it
was awful.
It was
garbage.
A series of them having random conversations and doing stage skits with their friends who weren't natural entertainers either.
So that's what I think about that. But who do you but I think the Bucks will win the belts. That would be my prediction.
Good Lord.
And Jim, finally, the main event. A last chance Texas death match for the AEW World Championship. If Page loses, he will never be able to challenge for the World Championship again. The champion MJF versus Hangman Adam Page.
And again, because they would legitimately expect Page to stick to this stipulation for the rest of his life. Not only the fans of this company, but the people in the company. It wouldn't be anything like, well, we can keep him away from it for a couple of years because he's had it enough already. And then somebody will do something so heinous that people will demand it, blah, 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 blah. They probably intend to stick to this because they're fucking marks. But at the same time, what the fuck would they be thinking to put the belt back on Page, Mr. Charisma, Mr. Warmth, again, when MJF just got it New Year's, has defended it like once or twice, just barely, and you would damage again a guy that at least moves numbers and or, whatever the fuck, even more than he already has been damaged. So it does make it hard to call, but hopefully sanity will prevail, and they have realized that over the next couple of years, they don't need Page to be the champion again anyway, and he'll get fucked by whoever wants to be the world's most dangerous man. Or the most dangerous, or Dick the Bruiser will come back, or whoever, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, since none of this has to make any sense, because it usually doesn't, you can't do what's logical or surmise what's logical or sensible for business because that doesn't have any bearing on AEW finishes.
And it would be a great heel move down the road if somehow he does get a title shot and he turns. He could say he's drinking again or something. And there he is, he got a title shot.
Either that or all the fans have started drinking because he was the champion.
Well, there it is, AEW Revolution from Los Angeles, California, coming up this next weekend, actually, as we are recording. Back to you, Jim.
That's right, Brian. We're going to, what we're going to do right now is, before we end the show, we're going to take a short break and travel through time because we have smelled something might be going on tonight on Smackdown. It's Cody versus Drew for one of their world titles. And that's going to decide who goes into the main event at WrestleMania. So we're going to take a brief time travel and come back and let everybody know which one it's going to be.
We're in the future.
I told you to change the oil in that son of a bitch. I've lost one of my legs. It didn't materialize again. Son of a bitch, and I've got to scratch my toe. Oh, it's coming in slowly. All right, would you take that thing over to Valvoline? Anyway,
everything's fine. We are here in the future.
We would like to congratulate the victor of the main event on SmackDown on March the 6th for the WWE title. They made a major world title match after the pay-per-view on the post-game show between Cody and Drew, and obviously advertising for SmackDown. That's a pretty big fucking match for SmackDown. And we felt like something was up, let's just say. So the one thing this show, again, my God, it's 3 hours. Just fast forwarding through it to get to this goddamn point was boring. But they started the history package between these two guys at like 10:25 Eastern time. And after the entrances and the introductions and the breaks and all it, et cetera, the bell rang at 20 minutes till. They did kill 15 minutes with that. But this was one of the better, obviously, TV matches, not only that they've had lately, not only from a work standpoint, but from an import standpoint. And except for, you know what, I'll tell you what I wrote and then tell me, Brian, when I wrote it, what spot came next. I said, no silliness, nothing preposterous. Didn't bury the referee. Serious, clear heel and babyface. Both guys over. No stupid furniture. What did they do?
Get the tables.
They had a good match. Cody was all over Drew. They did a jump start on the floor, which was called for here. It's a grudge match. And Cody was all over him. And then Drew got some heat. But Cody made a comeback, and as Drew was bailing out, he posted Cody's arm and started working the arm. And these guys are both pros. They know what they're doing. They're serious about it. Shit wasn't, as I said, neither burying the referee or looking fucking phony. And then they go outside. Cody hit a big dive. And Cody clears off the desk, and they're going to do a deal where he tries the crossroads on the desk. And I guess Drew was going to reverse it for something. And the desk collapsed under him. And then the fans start chanting, we want tables. So they go just stop their match and go start looking under the ring for fucking tables. It's come to this, that the fans are mad, even during good matches, if you don't break furniture. And I blame them. They didn't need to do a move on the fucking announce desk. And if they haven't gone out to the announce desk, then they wouldn't have to stop everything and go under the ring and get a table. And Cody was the one that found the table and pulled it out, and then Drew powerbombed Cody through it. So your babyface is an idiot. But nevertheless, it was unnecessary to go out and do anything with either table. They were doing just fine. But then they got back in the ring. And then boom, boom, boom. Drew hit a crossroads. It got a 2 count. And then Drew went for the Claymore and Cody fucking blocked it and Cody hit a Claymore. And then they teased hitting. Charles Robinson was the referee. And they teased one time where one guy picked the other guy up and he swung him around and little Nate, Charles ducked the feet. And then the next time Drew almost charged into him in the corner. And then Drew pulled the referee in front of him for Cody's crossbody off the ropes. And
like a crow.
Cody, yeah, like a crow. And then he just kind of grazed him, but Charles Robinson went down and was down for 5 minutes. Here's my thought, is that the referee bump is best when it's out of nowhere. No pun intended to the RKO. If you tease it, now they're looking for it. And then you tease it twice, and then you actually do it. What are the chances that something can accidentally happen after it's almost accidentally happened twice in a span of 45 seconds? The referee bump is better when it comes out of nowhere and it doesn't look like he was waiting for it. And you can't get too fancy. Not only are the referees not trained usually to the extent of most of the wrestlers, but Charles Robinson's 60 fucking years old. So don't do something that to make it look good. Either timing would have had to have been perfect or you got to legitimately wipe him out. Squash him in the corner, double knockout with a shoulder tackle, somebody splash or drop elbow, accident, whatever the fuck. But nevertheless, so Charles gets grazed by Cody, and we've seen the last of him for the next 4 or 5 minutes. There's a back and forth, and Cody hits the crossroads, but the referee's down. So Cody's calling for the ref and a new ref, and Drew hits a kick, and referee number 2, Rudy Charles, comes in. Cover, 1, 2. Cody kicks out. And Drew is mad, and he's, menacing the referee. But then Drew posts Cody like twice and then turns around and headbutts referee number 2. Wouldn't that be a disqualification, Brian?
I was going to say, he didn't hit him from behind. He hit him right to his face.
Yes.
Why wouldn't
he headbutted him?
Yeah.
The referee got a real good look at fucking Drew's face right before it smashed into his head. So if it's the logic has to continue. Dusty's finish was always the second referee comes in, counts fucking pin, but the first referee revives and has seen the disqualification. This would have just been the opposite. But the point is, why? Why? If he's headbutted the referee, now he should have been disqualified. But now that referee's out of the way. So Drew goes out and gets a chair, draws back, is going to hit Cody. And Fatu's on the apron and grabs the chair away suddenly and snatches it. And then Charles Robinson's back in and the match goes on. And then Drew misses a kick and Cody hits the cutter off the top and it's crossroads. 1, 2, 3. And Cody is once again the champion going into WrestleMania. But
at exactly 11 p.m.
At exactly. No, I think they went 2 minutes over. I think because my DVR said 3 minutes or 3 minutes. I wish 3 hours and 2 minutes or whatever. But did we need all the Zabada with the referee, which just I thought was distracting and odd. And unless they're going to make a big deal out of Drew screaming, why wasn't I disqualified when I headbutted the referee? And but it seems like that would have been explained and been started. Somebody said, "Oh, they should have disqualified him." But now it's Cody and Orton for WrestleMania. I said they were going to do it sooner or later, and I guess they decided with all the other problems they've had, sooner is better than later.
Let's see what they do. I mean, the potential's there, the background's there. Let's see if the angles are there and the promos are there. Randy did a promo earlier in the show, and it was just, to me, an average Randy Orton promo, the kind of promo he's been doing under Vince McMahon for years. Nothing yet to really amp things up, but if there was ever a time to let Randy Orton loose a little bit and just not have him seem so programmed at times, this would be the time.
Switch him heel and let him be himself.
I don't want to feel like he's practiced which words to use. And sometimes it feels like he's doing a WWE promo. You know, like, here, do a WWE promo for me, as opposed to, sell me on Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. But there's still time.
There's still time. But you know what there's no time left for, Brian?
What's that?
Any more of this fucking show. We've gone too long already. What are we coming back with? Are you going to do something again, or have you quit?
We have the drive-thru in a few days. We will have a bunch of stuff, probably guest the program, probably some fast food news, maybe the rest of Smackdown if Jim watched any of that, as well as questions and fun and so much more. History and fun. Fun is the big word.
Fun, as opposed to foon.
No, not foom. Fume.
No, foon.
Fume.
Foon. I'm not talking about our friends over at Fume. I'm talking about having foon.
All right, well,
let's have some food.
How do we get out of here?
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. You're all dismissed, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Fuck you, and bye-bye, everybody.